Hi. So, as you can probably see by the title, no Ackman, Dragon Age the Veilguard did not destroy the franchise. It's a bit of a weird thing to say, and obviously, I think it's a bit wrong, you know? So, why am I doing this? For one reason, just to kind of like get my own thoughts on this sort of topic, which is just a lot of people really hate Veilguard and Bioware in general, and I just want to talk about it and just like say why a lot of this is just like really dumb, but also how it's like such an over exaggeration, right? Look at the description here. Bioware has fallen on hard times with Dragon Age Veilguard between the bad writing, generic combat, and the lack of RPG identity. The Veilguard is easily one of Bioware's worst games. I think it's one of the worst games of 2024. Well, time to start a new playthrough of Mass Effect and Dragon Age Origins. Fucking fire, dude. Cool. So, a lot of things are wrong with that. But one of the biggest things is worst game of 2024. Honestly, man. Worse than Anthem. Honestly, man. This is literally just like rage baiting content, right? Trying to get people to stir up. I'm sorry, man. Anthem is by far one of Bioware's least Bioware-like games, and by far one of the more worst games. There's just so many problems with Anthem in general. And to say Veilguard is worse than that, to me just seems like, man, why do you want to hate this game so much, dude? And to a lot of the people around here, it just really does feel like they want to make hating Veilguard their personality, which I'm just like not interested in. But hey, let's perhaps look at it. First off, let's start with this. Nice thumbnail, by the way. I love, we've got it really well. How to destroy Dragon Age, yes. We have Tosh there, obviously, and we have him being like, oh, look at me, I'm so cool and whatever. So yeah, I'm going to be 2 times speeding this, because this is a long video. And I don't want to go through this entire video. So let's get to it.
This is the Act Man here, and today... You smell that? Oh, that's rancid. What is that foul, putrid stench? Did the loathsome dung eater just break into my house? No, that smell is coming from my computer, because I just got done playing 3 hours of Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Fantastic. I love making an entire commendation of a game 3 hours in. Now, obviously, does Veilguard like get better at the end? Yeah, it does. Now, does it take a long time to get better? Yeah. Is that an issue? It is a bit of an issue that Veilguard does take a while to, get better. It takes about like, I think 15 hours if you're taking leisure time. If you're just going through the game like very fast, it can take like 3 to 4 hours. Because when you get to the big Act 1 choice, not the end one, the big one in the middle, and then it obviously does get a bit more better. The writing starts getting more coherent, starts getting tighter, motivation starts getting more coherent, and everything just like gets a lot better as you progress through the game. Now, that is a criticism you can make, but just to say the game is bad just by 3 hours playing is such a surface level criticism that it really tells me nothing other than that you didn't like it, which
Oh, no! I have been waiting many years for Bioware.
I love it when you have tips and say like, yeah, this is very funny. Okay, laugh now.
Where to? Make a return to form. Oh, no! I have been waiting many years for Bioware to make a return to form. Sadly, the only thing Dragon Age is going to return to is the dirt.
Thanks to Tosh.
That's why we recruited her. So I'm non-binary. Actually, Tosh uses them.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I can't believe the big issue here is, they're non-binary. Isn't that funny? Okay. Who cares, dude? Like, you can say, why are they using terms that we use in our modern day language? Okay. So? Like, does that kind of ruin maybe the sort of idea of what a fantasy is, where it's like you have terms that aren't really used like they, them, or non-binary? I mean, yeah, sure, but this isn't an issue. Nor is this like, man, worst game of 2024 issue,
For themselves now.
It's been a decade since Inquisition won Game of the Year in 2014, but after a 10-year hiatus, you'd expect some pretty substantial improvements. Some fun, entertainment, dialogue that sounds like it was written by a real human being.
Broken chains. Solus is freeing slaves.
Solus hates slavery.
Okay, a lot of things wrong with this. For one, Dragon Age Veilguard was not in development for 10 years. Okay, that's a bit of a weird thing, and he could have easily looked this up, right? He could have easily looked this up. And not even that, he could have just, like, thought about it for a fucking second. Because if you think about it for a second, you can realize that, wait, it wasn't actually in development for 10 years, because that's not how game development works. When a game is being developed at a studio, most of those people in that studio are working on that game. Mass Effect Andromeda was being worked by mostly Montreal, which is fun enough, but for a majority of that time, a lot of Bioware was helping Mass Effect Andromeda at the end of it. Anthem was being made after Andromeda, which, you know, makes sense, right? And then, only after Anthem did Dragon Age any get rid of development. Now, there was development happening when the project was under, I think, Joplin? Yeah, Joplin. When it was called Joplin, and that was some of the development. There was a sort of vision statement called the records are sealed, but we are heroes, but the records are going to be sealed, right? That was the sort of vision statement. And there was some development going on, but a lot of it was just like concepts, ideas, plans for the future, and getting ready until they get into full production. That didn't happen until Anthem, and then when Anthem happened, basically EA used, you know, helping Anthem as an excuse to reboot Dragon Age and turn it into a live service game. So yeah, it wasn't actually in development for that time. And then in 2021, Dragon Age had a reset where it basically removed all the live service elements. And that also caused a lot of, you know, development to shift and time to be taken. So technically, Veilguard was, you know, more in development for like 4 years. Still a lot of time, but 10 years is not that. Now, why do I say this as a point? I think this is a weird thing because a lot of people are like, man, why isn't this game literally the second coming, you know? And I find it odd to say that because it seems like they don't have any interest in game development, especially because they protest themselves as people who like and trying to understand games. Like, you can still say the game is bad, but like, you could be more informed, you know? You don't have to be a moron. And then, yes, this is somehow not written by an actual human being.
Dialogue that sounds like it was written by a real human being?
Broken chains.
Broken chains. Solus was freeing slaves. Okay.
Solus is freeing slaves.
Solus hates slaves.
Yeah. Nev wasn't privy to that. I'm sorry. Like, Varric did not sit him down and say like, okay, let me tell you literally everything. Okay, so Solus, he really hates tea. Like, why would Varric say that? That wouldn't make sense because one, how is that relevant to anything unless like Solus is setting fire to tea factories? That maybe it's relevant, you know. But I don't think that's his kind of plan, you know. But two, it's again like in the moment, like Nev's asking a question like, there are broken chains here. Was he freeing slaves? Like, that's a question that I think is valid to ask. Like, if he was freeing slaves, what is he doing? And then, oh, Solus hates slavery. Okay, cool. That answers it, and it also helps us, the audience, new players and whatnot, and old players who haven't played a while, to sort of like readjust and like, oh, okay, so we get this, right? And like, this isn't dialogue made by a human being. You're just a moron, dude. You're just a guy, and not only that, you're looking for issues, right? Any tiny little crevice is going to be taken and blown up to a huge issue. Again, this is the worst game of 2024. Is it the best game of 2024? I mean, there's a lot of good games, you know? I mean, I like Dragon Age Veilguard because, you know, I'm a Bioware fan, right? But to say it's the worst game, and this is one of the examples you're going to give, I'm sorry, man. That's just really poor. That's just really, really poor.
Slavery.
I just hate slavery so much. If I could go back in time and undo slavery.
Yeah, Solus hates slavery. Have you played Dragon Age Inquisition? What is this clip being used here? Oh, Solus hates slavery? Like...
I would. I hate it.
Veilguard is the burnt steak of RPGs, as if all the tasty, juicy Bioware goodness has been cooked out of the company. It's like they forgot their own recipe. Whatever semblance of Dragon Age there remained in Inquisition, it's all sucked out here. It has lost all darkness, grit, realism, and intensity it once.
I love it when people only remember the 4 cutscenes for Dragon Age 1. I love it that they only remember the beginning, Battle of Oscar, the Battle of Denerim, and the end of the Battle of Denerim. I love it that when that's the only thing they remember, and not the constant fucking jokes being made by the other companions. Yes, I remember when Deron kept saying, win your bosom. I remember that. I love it. Now, does this mean that, like, Dragon Age Veilguard is, like, as dark as Origins? Not necessarily. There are some dark parts, but there are a lot of things that are removed, and does suck, you know. You can have a good faith criticism saying that it does suck that Tevinter, the place where slaves exist, doesn't really have that visible slavery. Slavery does exist. The companions talk about it, you know. One of the cutscenes you can have with the companions talks about like, hey, elves don't have it great, and we've experienced like discrimination, right? But it's not really visible, you know. You don't really see elven slaves. You don't really have missions freeing elven slaves, right? And that kind of does suck because it does remove an element of the world that was there and now it's just gone. It sucks. It generally does, you know? Same with the other factions like the Crows and the Lords of Fortune. Like, the Crows are now, like, good, Like, there isn't really any explanation for why they're now, like, good, you know? Because, like, Zevran quite vehemently said, like, yeah, I mean, I was a child slave who fought other child slaves to become an assassin. And even when I was an assassin, I wasn't really given a lot of freedom. Same with, like, the Lords of Fortune, which are supposed to be, like, you know, good pirates. I'm like, okay, good pirates, I guess, you know? I guess there's some explanation to that, but, like, good pirates? Again, this is a good criticism to make. But this criticism is being made in such a dumb way, and such a hateful way, that I don't really think is that productive. Should Veilguard be more darker? Sure. Should you say it in this manner? Nah. And especially because this is really misunderstanding what Origins really is, you know? Because a lot of people like to portray Origins as this dark, gritty game that has, is like 70% serious and 30%, no, not even 70, like 80% serious and 20% jokes. Which it just isn't. You know, most of the time in Origins is just you wandering around, like hearing the bitchiness of your party members.
Had. I'm not exaggerating when I say that between 2003 and 2011, Bioware was top of their class. They were best in slot for the RPG genre. Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, the big three. It's funny that with the first Dragon Age, Bioware had actually taken inspiration from the Baldur's Gate series. And how ironic it is.
Yeah. How ironic is that they're not doing that? I don't know, man. I think Baldur's Gate. Well, let me finish. That
Bioware returned their back on this successful and proven style of RPG, and now it's Larian who have picked up the torch and are running with it. I mean, wow, can you even believe it? That's the third RPG in this style.
Okay, so he's gonna have to define what an RPG is, because I can't really say much about it. I was gonna say something, but I'll wait for him to say.
That's one game of the year. It's almost like there might be something to this style of game.
What?
Who have picked up the torch and are running with it. I mean, wow, can you even believe it? That's the third RPG in this style that's one game of the year.
Yeah? Who gives a shit if a game wins Game of the Year? Who fucking cares? Like, oh yeah, it's successful. Yeah, who fucking cares? Like, Game of the Year is like such a non-fucking thing, you know? I don't really determine what good game is Game of the Year, right? Well, like, that to me just doesn't really make sense to me, because it implies that, like, other games that are Game of the Year are somehow suddenly better. Which, again, here's the thing, right? Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year, right? I don't even think Dragon Age Origins won Game of the Year, or at least not in the sort of more normalized Game of the Year that we have now. And that to me is just like, so is Dragon Age Inquisition better, right? A lot of people say no. So again, this is a weird argument to use.
It's almost like there might be something to this style of game. Baldur's Gate 3 should have been a wake-up call, but ever since Dragon Age 2, Bioware has slowly but surely turned their...
So, wake-up call, yeah? A lot of Bioware employees really like that, because they were able to use that as an argument to EA to basically say, like, let us do more of this kind of stuff, right? Issue though, Baldur's Gate 3 released in 2023. When did Dragon Age Veilguard... Man, when did Dragon Age Veilguard come out? 2024. A year later. You can't literally redo everything in a fucking year. That's impossible, dude. Not at the AAA scale. Not at any scale, for that matter. And that's such a weird thing to say, like, yeah, how did Bioware not just literally turn everything around, you know? It's like, you moron, do you know nothing about game development? Are you an ignoramus, or are you just intentionally being like, I hate developers. I hate them. Why can't they do things fast, you know? Why are they dumb and hate games? Why do they hate me specifically? Like, okay, sure. So, like, Baldur's Gate 3, good game. I have some issues with it. It's not a Bioware game for any means. It's a Larian game, first and foremost. But, like, the type of RPG that people are like, yeah, we want this RPG, which is like, Dragon Age has never been that kind of RPG. Realize that, you know? I ask you this. Dragon Age Origins never let you kill anyone that the developers did not deem you allowed to kill. In Baldur's Gate 3, you can kill whoever fucking you want, you know? You can kill yourself if you want, you know? but the point is that, like, there's a very huge substantial difference. Baldur's Gate 3 allows you to have a breadth of options, a breadth of expression, while Dragon Age and Mass Effect and Bioware entirely limits it, because they want to have a co-authorship with the player and not necessarily have the player have full control, you know? Because that's what makes their games. Like, this guy says Mass Effect is an RPG, right? Dragon Age Origins is an RPG. But again, you don't have a lot of freedom in that. You can only be one kind of character. You can be one of the 6 Origins in Origins, and you can only be a Commander Shepard. So again, this is just a weird thing that a lot of people keep repeating. Like, yeah, why isn't it like Baldur's Gate 3? And like, you moron. You want Dragon Age, right? Dragon Age is not Baldur's Gate 3, you fucking idiot. Holy shit. actually think about it for a moment, please.
They're back on everything people loved about their games, and they have embraced mediocrity with open arms. Now, again, that's just my opinion. If you're having fun with the game, don't let me or
It's just my opinion, but I'll make claims that makes it seem like it's actually objective. Like, okay, sure, man.
anyone else stop you. Me, on the other hand, I cannot stand playing Dragon Age the Veilguard. To be honest, I knew I wasn't gonna like Veilguard when I saw the gameplay showcase, but man, sometimes that music kicks in. And I think, well, maybe they'll come back. Dragon Age Origins was so fucking good, man. No cap, Origins is Bioware's best game. There, I said it. Yeah, fight me in the comments. The reason I tried out Veilguard is because I'm still chasing the dragon.
Hang on, I almost caught the dragon.
You don't ever catch the dragon, Dad!
Literally, the one
I love clips. I love
on the front cover. So today I'm gonna give you all a crash course on how to turn me
Okay.
off of your RPG and never play it again. This instructional training video will teach you how to
Now this is a weird thing. He called this section a return to form. He never really made a claim of how Veilguard failed to return to form. He never said anything, actually. He just said, like, vaguely gesturing. Bad game? Huh? Like, that doesn't... You're not saying anything, you know? Like, okay, sure. Okay, sure. Alright, fine then. But yeah. So, is Veilguard a return to form? It is. It is. I'm sorry, man. You can't say it's not, dude, for a bunch of reasons. The last game was Anthem, man. It had no companions. It had basically no dialogue options whatsoever. Like, the RPG mechanics was literally just a mechanical RPG, which, like, I don't think that's what people mean when they want a Bioware RPG. I think they mean more narrative and not rather than mechanics, right? So, like, it is a return to form in many ways. It has companions, it has a lot of quests, it has a lot of, like, branch dialogue. Like, literally, you can choose between saving Menrathos and Treviso, and that changes a lot in the later games, okay? And it changes how companions interact with you, and it also just, like, changes the vibe of it. The reactivity in Veilguard is high. And the Act 3 is just phenomenal. Phenomenal writing. Absolutely phenomenal writing. The game, when it needs to be good, is absolutely amazing, dude. From its options, to its writing, to everything, you know? And it is genuinely a return to form. I've given you an argument. What is this guy's argument? Bad game. Very compelling.
destroy a franchise. Step 1, promote your fantasy RPG like it's a fucking hero shooter.
You know there will be dragons.
Cringe. Oh, the cringe. Oh, wow, that's Lucanus. Well, he's the mage killer. Whoa.
Fuck? Okay. Okay. Dragon Age Veilguard's first trailer. Is it like a hero shooter? I mean, yeah, in the stylization. Is it? No. Like, it's not. Like, I don't... Like, my man, we have the game itself. And again, this is very telling that this guy, like, has basically no thoughts and just simply consumed all his media from, like, Twitter and, like, other videos. Because, like, he never even... I guarantee you, right? If he does mention Hosberg Wastelands or, like, the Grand Necropolis, he's gonna be like, oh, the only bright spot in this game is those, and it's fucking garbage. It's like, okay. Fantastic.
Oh, Lara, the Veil Jumper? Well, how cool. I love these characters already.
And I love the expressions he has. Like, every single Dragon Age fan was just doing this. Like,
Dude, real talk, why was this reveal trailer shoving characters down my throat? We can be heroes?
my throat? What do you mean, shove it down? What do you mean? I hate it when Bioware games shove characters down my throat. The whole fucking point of them. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Why is this game shoving characters down my throat? I don't want... Fantastic. Absolutely amazing.
What the fuck? Who thought to brand a Dragon Age game like this? You wanna see branding? Boom.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it. Yeah, very accurate branding. Very accurate branding, by the way. Where is the character? Alistair. Alistair? Not that Alistair. Where is a good enough one? You can really tell from all this. Like, great branding. Great branding. Great branding. This is definitely the same. Yeah. I love it when video games basically just use CGI to make the games look cooler, when actually, in reality, they just look kind of plain. Kind of like, oh, whatever, you know? Like, okay, sure, man. You can say, like, in a sort of trailer sense that, hey, broadly, when you're discussing, when you're showing off a game, you want to make it look good, right? But I don't know, man. I think it's pretty positive that the game shows off what, like, a lot of the people who play these games like about it, which is the characters. Like, again, it's a weird comment to say, like, why is this trailer shoving characters down my throat? Like, because that's like Bioware's bread and butter, you moron. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you fucking playing these games even? For the fucking plot? Oh, I'm sorry, man. Do you want, like, 50 different variations of save the galaxy, save the world? Damn. The only Bioware games that haven't done that is, like, Dragon Age 2. I'm not even sure about Shattered Steel. Yeah. I think it's just Dragon Age 2. Yeah. Like, fantastic. Fantastic.
Veilguard gave the wrong impression right when it was shown. People didn't react too positively to it, and I don't blame them. Showing the names and titles of every companion on screen is a cheap, ineffective tactic to try and create a connection
Cheap, ineffective tactic. Okay.
between the audience and the characters. If you can't make them
Okay. How?
interesting through, you know, good writing, I'd just throw their names on screen, kill any and all intrigue about what lies in store for the player and who they might be able to recruit on their team. Complaining about the market
What? Huh? What is the... What? Say that again, man.
companion on screen is a cheap, ineffective tactic to try and create a connection between the
Okay, okay.
audience and the characters. If you can't make them interesting through, you know, good
I'm sorry, what? It's a fucking trailer, man. Like, Dragon Age Origins trailer just showed Liliana, Morrigan, and Sten just doing stuff. They were just fighting. Like, how does... What? This is such a weird criticism, man. Yeah, showing the names of the characters in this, like, title screen thing is a cheap and ineffective tactic to make you connect to the characters. What? How? How is that an ineffective tactic? That's just, like, the characters are doing actions that happened in Dragon Age Origins trailer. Like, I don't know, man. Dragon Age Origins trailer. Like, not that one. There you go. This Sacred Ashes one. Okay. Okay, yeah, they're climbing up a mountain. Okay. Morrigan is being a bit of a bitch. Yeah. Okay, cool. They're doing that, and now they're doing actions. Like, the only characterization you got was Morrigan being a bit bitchy, and then the Grey Wardens just saying, like, Sten, kill him. Like, yes. Yes. That is somehow better characters. Okay, sure. Like, I don't... That's such a weird complaint, man.
writing, I'd just throw their names on screen, kill any and all intrigue
Okay.
about what lies in store for the player and who they might be able to recruit on their team. Complaining about the marketing might be a minor point, sure, but this is the first impression. It matters a lot. And instead of trying to sell...
Yeah, sure, man. But when your complaint is, why are they shoving characters down my throat? A thing that Bioware games are about. I think that's a bit of a fucking dumb... Not just a minor point. That's a dumb fucking point. That's like bad criticism, man.
Sell me on this immense, incredible fantasy world that I can explore. I'm being sold characters I haven't even met yet. For more information on...
I've been sold a character I haven't met yet. Yes, sir. Here's Morrigan. Liliana is in here somewhere. There you go. If you apply his logic to the other games, it's just fucking baffling, man. Like, I'm being sold in characters I haven't even met. Like, then same happened with every single Bioware game. Mass Effect 2's trailer is literally just a collage of here's Shepard and then the companion you can recruit. Like, he obviously doesn't agree with that. He'll obviously say, like, no, I don't mean that. But, like, you want to be able to explain it, you know?
How to maintain my interest, consult this trailer for Origins.
How do you maintain his interest? Okay, by being like an edgy, like 2000s game. Okay, which I'm not dissing, right? I'm a fan of like edgy 2000s games as much as the next person, right? As much as the next straight white man, you know. But like, when your complaint is, I hated that they're shoving characters down my throat. I think that Bioware Games does. I think that's a bit of a dumb thing to say.
You see how they portray the cast through the actions, facial expressions, combat style, and dialogue?
And this didn't? And this trailer didn't? And this trailer didn't? What do you mean? Actman, why are you a moron?
Personalities. Hey, this goth-looking style and dialogue, and also how they work together as a team. You see how they portray the cast through the actions, facial expressions, combat style, and dialogue, and also how they work together as a team? Crazy, right? It's like my mind is able.
Somehow that trailer does it. Somehow there were no facial animations, there were no expression, there was nothing like that. There was nothing like that. No one talked in it. It was just like Beric had no dialogue. Fantastic.
Able to gather information about their personalities. Hey, this goth-looking woman with a staff, I think she might be a witch. I can't tell because my eyeballs don't work, and neither does my brain. This trailer is cool, it has a unique style, it's entertaining, and it's badass.
The unique style. Oh, I love it how we rounded back to generic fantasy having been a unique style. Fantastic. Now, do I dislike generic fantasy? No, man. I'm a proponent of generic fantasy, okay? Give me all the generic fantasy you can get. I love it. I love it. But saying it's a unique style, I mean, come on, man. That's a bit of a fucking stretch, you know? I know you want to glaze Origins, okay? But come on. Don't be a dumbass, you know, at the same time. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah. Unique style. Especially because this style isn't representative of the game. Isn't representative of the game. Isn't representative of the game. You can say it's a cool style, but it's not representative of the game. And that is a bit of an issue that I have. I do dislike it when video games like give you trailers that don't look like the actual game, right? Because like I don't know anything. I don't have any context for this, right? Like what am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to like feel when I see the game actually? Like, oh, this cool trailer that I would like to play. Oh no, it's not like the actual game. Oh, okay, that's a bit disappointing, you know? Sure, man. Sure.
Yes.
The righteous stand before the darkness, and the maker shall.
You know what's very funny to me? He said like broken chains, Solus is freeing slaves, Solus hates slavery. It's like, and this one is just like Liliana reciting like the chantry, like, oh yeah, man, this is definitely also, you know, like somehow better writing, you know, even though it's literally just like a random prayer during it. I'm like, I guess it portrays her character well, but like she never does this, you know? It's like, I don't know, man.
Guide their hand.
Clearly, Veilguard missed the mark in its marketing. It came across like Disney had just bought out Bioware.
I love it when we just basically say things that don't actually mean anything, right? Ah, yes, Disney, even though it looks like nothing like Disney. Disney Dragon. Ah, fantastic. Yes, I'm getting Disney vibes from this. Yes, somehow, some way, I'm getting Disney vibes from this. Yes, I am getting Disney vibes from this. Fuck off. Like, holy shit, man. Like, come on, dude. Come on. And here's the thing that I always find very funny, that no one's been able to answer me, right? Let's look at this handsome fellow. If this is somehow Disney, how is Origins not as well? They have a similar art style. Not exact, similar. But how are they not similar? If this is Disney, this is then therefore Disney. You're gonna have to make a claim to somehow disprove that. Because otherwise then like somehow Dragon Age Origins is Disney as well. But they don't say that. This is literally just like, I want to hate the game, and instead of just like sticking to real criticism, I will be a moron and just like literally say anything. Like, okay, sure.
These trailers were heavily disliked, probably because they showed a version of Dragon Age that bears no resemblance to its bloody, violent past.
I love it when my only thought process of Origins is when people die and blood and stuff. I love it. I love it.
Like, they've taken all the edge out of Dragon Age. It's gone soft. Like, dude, they even cut out this neck snap. Like, why are you trying to hide this in editing? No.
Because it's an editing thing. It makes it more impactful, because then when it transitions from the song, it's like, my man, why are you a moron? And not only that, it's just like, oh yeah, they remove all the edge. All the edge. Now, let's see if he does. Dragon Age Veilguard. My internet's out. I love it when my internet's out. Oh, I love it. He's Dragon Age Veilguard. Okay, cool. And this is the Hosberg Wetlands. Ah, yes. A sorely lacking edge. This is no edge whatsoever. No edge whatsoever. Ah, yes. I love it when this game is like not edgy. Yep. I love very no edge whatsoever. Very true. Very smart. Very observant of you.
No neck snapping, guys. It's too controversial, okay? No. Take the blood out. That's too graphic. We don't want to offend anybody.
Meanwhile,
Now, marketing isn't everything, but you can learn a lot about the creator's intentions, what impression they want to leave on you, how they want to
Like how the characters are important, but somehow that's like shoving down your throat.
sell you something and earn your hard-earned money. For Origins, they were selling you a brutal, violent medieval world. For Veilguard, they're
Yeah. You know else what Origins was? It was a character game. It was a game filled with lore. It wasn't. Fuck, man. I love it when people's only understanding of Origins is it's bloody and has evil things like rape. Yeah, that's definitely what all of Dragon Age was. That's definitely what David Gator intended, okay? He intended Dude Bros to basically say, like, you know what I like Origins? Because there's blood and sex in. I love it.
selling you Dragon Age, but it's rated E for everyone. Certainly doesn't help that they changed the original title from Dreadwolf to the Veilguard, but the marketing did absolutely...
Yeah, the Veilguard, which is a term to refer to the companions, have. That's an accurate statement. Yeah, the Dreadwolf's part of it, but Veilguard is spending a lot more time, and also the focus of Bioware games, the characters. Yep. Somehow a bad decision.
Absolutely no favors for this game, and the gameplay showcase confirmed my suspicions that this wouldn't be a return to form, it would be an even further jump away from it. By trying to make something that's safe and appeals to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. By making the ineffective...
Okay. Like, it's still okay, man. Should have the gameplay style stayed similar to Origins. Yeah, I've said this in previous videos as well. I like consistency for a lot of reasons. I think it should have had that. Now, is this like appealing to a broader base? I mean, yeah, right. Now, is this like is the entirety of Veilguard just like a safe bet? No, it's not. Like, I'm sorry, man. If you like, again, Actman clearly is demonstrating his sources, which is Twitter and like some dumb fucks on YouTube who also haven't played the game. Because if you played for more than 3 hours, right? Not saying finish the whole game, maybe like get past Act 2, perhaps. You'd probably see that the game is not safe, man. Like Banana. He got his opinions from other YouTubers and Twitter.
offensive, you end up with the uninteresting. When you shave off all the edges, everything is without form. Step number 2
Okay.
on how to ruin a franchise. Butcher the art style. Hey, quick question. What is this? Bioware, what the fuck is...
What is this creepy ass thing that looks scary and terrifying? This is actually cartoon. Fantastic. I love it. I love it how these people are not using the... Man. You're sending your... Actman, you must be like working overtime to use your brain cells, okay? Because this is like some genius stuff, okay, you know? There's definitely no... If this is what Veilguard looks like, man, dude, it must look like absolutely terrifying, you know? Again, here's Gillenane. The most eldritch-looking motherfucker, right, in existence. Absolutely eldritch, dude. Absolutely eldritch. Absolutely eldritch. And somehow... Now, does Dragon Age Veilguard look different, right? Yeah, it does, right. Now, is it cartoony? No. It's a simple art style. It's more similar to, like, how Origins kind of looked, which is, like, very simple. Like, this isn't... Like, you can see some textures here and there, but, like, overall, this is, like, very simple, right? A lot of the complaints when Dragon Age Origins came out originally was that, hey, man, why is this Play-Doh art style? What is with this, like, clay face, you know? Like, a lot of issues with Origin... Like, again, and this is so weird, that it's just like, man, look at this, which is, like, unrepresentative of the game, right? Besides that, again, look at this. Like, I'm sorry, man, but this is, like... This is also cartoony if your definition is, yeah, so Veilguard's cartoony, therefore, by your own logic, Origins is as well, you know? Again, it just doesn't make much sense to me. But anyways, these guys are not using logic, they're using their fifi, you know, as it were.
Is this? This is a Darkspawn. Are you serious? Somehow you... Hey, quick question. What is this?
This is the Darkspawn? Looks cute. Fantastic. He could have used any other example for this point. He probably is going to use another example, but man, this is the one he's using? Fantastic. Fantastic. I love it when these people make it so easy for me to just like prove them so fucking dumb, you know? I'm like, yeah, now do the other Darkspawn look a bit weird? I mean, yeah, right. I think the ogre looks a bit too goofy, right? And stuff. But using the ghouls as examples, you can really tell this guy only played 3 hours because this is the only footage he has. Fantastic.
Bioware, what the fuck is this? This is a Darkspawn. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Somehow you made them even more cartoony and stupid looking than.
Gosh. Somehow fantastic. I love it when words mean nothing. It's an absolute, yeah. This is somehow I love Dragon Age. Okay, it has wonderful cartoony art style. I really like it. It's amazing. I love my Fantastic. Fantastic.
In Dragon Age 2, this is what I'm talking about. See how much of the identity.
Man, I love it when my entire understanding of art style is when things look edgy. Yeah, I love my zombie orcs. I don't like them being unique at all. I don't like them when they, have some like interesting lore, like actually represent lore. I like it when they're zombie orcs. I can't believe you like generic stuff, Act Man. Fantastic. I mean, brother, I'm the same. I'm the same. Fantastic. And again, it's just like 7%. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh. Somehow, man, please.
And style of this series they've lost. The Darkspawn in Origins were a force of nature type villain. Evil creatures birthed by terrible.
And they aren't? What the?
Magic. Their blood is poison as they are poison to the world, bringing a literal blight to the land. But now, in Veilguard.
What about Darkspawn?
Yeah. What about Darkspawn?
Somehow, it's not a force of nature, guys. Ah, man. This guy clearly only played... Yeah, man, why'd you say you played only 3 hours, man? That was so fucking bad of you, dude. Because it makes everything you say so fucking moronic. Oh, boy. I love it when my side quest in Treviso, when I let it die, because, I thought Minrath was important, which it is. No, besides that. I love it when one of my side quests was literally trying to kill people who got infected by the Darkspawn and blighted by it. Yep. I love it. Like, man, how can you be this moronic, dude? Like, oh my gosh, dude. Holy shit. A lack of critical thinking skills is on display, okay? And I don't know if I'm here for it, okay? I think this is a bit too much. And so many people are convinced by this argument, man. They're so convinced. Oh my gosh.
This gives off COD Vanguard vibes. We're fighting in World War II. I'm having a great time. What about you guys? What about Nazis?
Oh my gosh, dude. It is very funny considering that the game never like treats Darkspawn like that. They have the Grey Wardens going like a bit of a hoorah kind of thing. That was kind of present in Origins to an extent, where a lot of the characters kind of did have this kind of like hoorah vibe. But like, I don't know, man.
I shoot Nazis. What about Darkspawn?
Like the Darkspawn are an afterthought. They're just treated as a joke.
Okay. So he never explained how they're no longer a force of nature. Veilguard doesn't treat them like that. Veilguard doesn't. Oh my gosh. So I probably should have forewarned this a while ago. Spoilers ahead. So the South's dead. Basically, the Darkspawn basically just like took over the South. There's a few holdouts here and there, but the Darkspawn are basically like really destroying the South. Orlais, Ferelden, Denram's basically gone. So like, I don't know how they're not a force of nature anymore. Especially when you get to the end of Act 1, when you get to the Siege of Weishout, and it's just like, oh yeah, they basically fucked the Wardens. Yeah. And since we already get into spoiler territory. How do you pronounce fantasy names? Archdemon. Razical. I love my not dark fantasy. I love it. Where is it? Open image. This is tiny. Game? There it is. So for those who might not know, because, this is Gillenon's Archdemon, right? Whoop-de-doo. She transformed him into this. A were a monster. Fantastic. Somehow the blight's no longer a force of nature that changes things. I love it. Very smart. Very intelligent act, man. You really seem to have your head together.
Joke. Well, they look like one too. Not to mention what.
Again. Oh my gosh. He couldn't even. Oh my gosh, dude.
Hey, Doc. What about Darkspawn?
Like the Darkspawn are an afterthought. They're just treated as a joke. While they look like one.
Oh my gosh, dude. How could he not? Oh my gosh, dude. This is so weird, dude. How could he not use the easiest layup and just be like, okay, here you are, goofy guy. Okay, here you are, goofy guy. Okay. But nah. He uses the ghoul. Fantastic.
One too. Not to mention what they've done with the Qunari. To be fair, they don't look the same.
I can't believe he used a fucking modded image of Sten. Why, man? Why? Could you not pull the right picture?
In any game, but like, come on, what is this? There's a
Okay. Fine. I don't know, man. The Qunari look fine. Some of them a bit smooth and have a bit of a big forehead, but most of the main cast, and I love how he like
one too. Not to mention what they've done with the Qunari. To be fair,
again, why a mod?
they don't look the same in any game, but like.
And it's just like, what is wrong with this Qunari? Like, there's literally nothing wrong. And again, it's more closer to how Origins depicted Qunari, which are just like big giant humans. And you can say like, well, Dragon Age 2 was only good in this regard because it had badass Qunari. I'm like, okay, sure, I like that. But like, I don't know, man. Again, remember context. He says this is the worst game of 2024. How? How? Fantastic.
Like, come on, what is this? There's a lot I hate about Dragon Age 2, but man, they nailed the look of the Qunari. Now they look weak, soft, fragile. Oh.
Fantastic.
And they're emotionally susceptible and vulnerable. Where's my boy Sten? I need some tough manliness.
It really is telling that he didn't play the entire, like, not even like halfway through Act 2. Because like oh my fucking word, dude. I hate these people so much, dude. There's so much wrong with this. For one, there are Qunari that are more traditional, right? We meet the Butcher and we meet other like Qunari characters that are just like downright asses, right? And then for two, right? I think it's cool that we get to see different explorations of the Qunari. He's gonna mention it eventually, right? About Tosh, how like, oh, Tosh is not actually a Qunari. And I'll get to that point. But Tosh's entire point is more of identity, right? Identity, more like gender self, but also identity as in a cultural thing, right? One thing that's very cool that I don't think a lot of media does, is explore the transition period from one culture to another and how you adopt and take each of those cultures, right? I think that's a pretty cool idea, especially in a fantasy setting. And for the Qunari, this is a thing you can really explore in depth. Because you have, for example, a Qunari turns into either tough shot or wasn't born into that, but still like is taught the Qun, right? Still understands it. And then they adopt their home country. Iron Bull never really did that. Iron Bull more adopted his own sort of thing. He never really belonged to a nation. But Tosh is now caught in the middle between being a Qunari, part of the, like knowing, understanding the Qun, and also then adopting like Ravani culture, right? And her first personal quest, where you walk around and just like talk to her, right? They basically said that, hey, I basically like take different aspects of my, culture, and I sort of like mix it into it. Like they say that Ravane, right? That the Qun is basically meant to like help people, right? And like in a broad general sense, like that is kind of the idea of the Qun, right? That's why in Dragon Age 2, so many elves go to the Qun, and also Sten like mentions that like, yeah, you guys like have poverty. That's not a thing in Parvolan, okay? Because like everyone has their place. Why would you basically allow some parts of your society to just basically go undeveloped, okay? That's a very dumb thing to do. Like, and that's like a pretty like one of the benefits and one of the advantages of being under the Qun. You don't go hungry. You don't go homeless. If you play your part, and then you can live a fine life. Maybe not a free life, but a fine life. And that's something that's generally like really interesting to explore, to see how these combinations or what you take or if you leave behind, and that's interesting, right? But Axeman is that kind of guy. He doesn't use his doggin. Qunari are simply just big, wide guys who are just like human boss, Sarah boss. Like cool dudes, and not the actual exploration of their culture and ideas and how that sort of necessarily changes their society versus others and how that society interacts. No, it's just like they're giant dudes who say cool things. And also, I do find this funny again. Like, man, I love
Listen
this.
here. It seems like every race has been homogenized to be as palatable and safe for work as possible. When you
Not really. We don't really interact with dog. I mean, okay, one, again, guy hasn't played anything because he doesn't even know fucking Cal Shrock exists, right? And Cal Shrock is like, they're not, they're definitely not, like, safe or whatnot, right? I'll say that at least. The elves, we don't really get an identity for the elves too much, which it does suck. And again, actual criticism of Veilguard, oh my gosh, dude. We're actually getting to something instead of, like, swaying through this, like, garbage of criticism, okay? Absolutely terrible rant stuff, you know, because the elves don't really have that much of their own like identity, right? They're not really slaves. We don't really get a feel who they are. The veil jumpers, we don't really understand that, and that's one of the bigger issues because we don't get to talk to, you know, characters and ask them questions, right? One of the cool things about Dragon Age and RPGs in general is being able to ask cool questions and to get to know more about that, especially on how that question you ask and how other people answer those different questions, right? You can ask, let's say for example, a mage, right? In Dragon Age Origins, one's a libertarian, one's an Aquilin, right? And you ask like, what do you think about mage freedom, right? And they'll give you answers, and those answers are like very interesting because it shows different sides of the world, but also their own feelings on it, and like it makes the world feel more in depth, right? And that is lacking in Veilguard, right? But will Eggman make this criticism? No. No.
you establish unique, recognizable races in your fantasy universe, it's probably best to keep their art style consistent so we're not left wondering why everything looks
Not a bad take. I agree.
so fucking weird. Same thing with the demons, man. This is just pitiful. That's a pride.
Okay. The Pride Demon doesn't look that bad, man. The issue that people have is that the Pride Demon doesn't look like prior Pride Demons, not that it looks bad. Like, I'm sorry, man. The Pride Demon doesn't look bad. You're fooling yourself into thinking that it's bad because for some reason people told you that it's bad, okay? I'm sorry that your opinions are... I'm sorry that you are such a weak person that you can just, like, take someone else's opinions without critical thought.
Demon right there? In Origins, these were gnarly creatures that resided in the mystical realm called the Fade. It was a dreamscape where these creatures sat and waited, and they were capable of all sorts of psychological...
Who, waited? What do you... What? Huh. Sorry, maybe that's not what he meant, but, like, I just find it so funny that he thinks, like, these guys are just waiting for some fucking random protagonist just to, like, beat them down. Like, oh, that's great.
torture and human possession. There's like 3 different children in Origins that get possessed by a demon. You can kill all of them. You can kill children.
Ah, yes, the gamer opinion. I get to kill kids? Oh my god! I get to kill children? Fantastic. I love it when Dragon Age when people think like, oh yeah, Dragon Age, what is the point? I can kill kids. I'm like, okay, cool. Fantastic. Now was that cool to have those options and see those darker sides? I mean, yeah, Ryan. It was cool to see those like darker sides of Origins and whatnot. And we don't really get to see that in Veilguard. We do get demon possession, right? Like Lucanus is literally a guy possessed by a demon, right? And like other characters, but we don't really get to see in this sort of instance, right? And that does suck, right? But again, I think this is like trying to make Origins something it's not and misunderstanding it on a fundamental level. Origins was not just the dark, gritty game. It was a game that took the ideas, which is like, what if we took like some of the elements of a fantasy setting and took it seriously, right? And to a lot of conclusions. And not necessarily like, let's make a world that's just like blood, torture, sex, drugs, rape and shit. And slaves. Like, okay.
In Origins, by making the Darkspawn and the demons look so generic and silly and
Oh man, will he realize that Dragon Age Origins Darkspawn are zombie orcs? Find out. And I find it so funny, man. Because like, oh man, dude, yeah, Origins had a unique art style. Fantastic. As with the demons, they look good, man. I don't know, man. Like, you're gonna have to show me an example of other, you know, characters, right? And I mean, you're gonna have to show me an example of other like games or like movies or whatever that have the similar design as Veilguard's demons. And even then, a weird thing to say because it's like, oh yeah, so if it's generic, it's actually bad, which is like such a weird thing to say. Because like I imagine the guy would say, Pillars of Eternity is good, not his game, but it's good, and he would also say the art style's good. But would he say it being generic is a letdown? I don't think so. I don't think so. Generic art style is a fine thing to do. You just have to do it with purpose.
Cartoonish, it takes away from my ability to take them seriously as a threat. As if Bioware...
Again, somehow this is cartoonish, and this isn't. Cartoony? No. Yes? Mm-hmm. No way. Fantastic.
intentionally trying to diffuse any and all tension this game could have had. And for a world that's on the brink of destruction, it sure seems like everyone's having an okay time. I guess the one area I can give
Okay, sure. That's not what happens, but sure.
Veilguard props in is that the game does look phenomenal. The locations are beautifully detailed and diverse, but we have the same problem as Concord. You can't dump your entire budget.
Man, you could have made a bingo card for this and just list like every single dumb fucking opinion. Mention Concord? Oh, fantastic, right. I can see Actman. I can see you, Actman. I know you're on Twitter, okay? I see.
Into graphical fidelity and assume I'm gonna like looking at your game.
I'm sorry, what? No, Veilguard is not a graphically fucking what? Huh? That is... I'm sorry, that's not... Okay, sure, man. You can believe dumb things if you want.
Style trumps graphics every single time. Just look at
Ooh. This doesn't even make sense with his own framework, okay? Because he says Veilguard's cartoony, and somehow it says it's like it doesn't have style. I'm sorry, man. By definition, a cartoony game or an art. Holy shit, man. This is so idiotic. How can people believe this guy, man? It really is just like gamer bros who basically have no thought between their ears. Just be like, uh-huh, yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh. Like, fantastic. This is the intelligence that people have to attend with, okay? And believe it.
Jet Set Radio Future. Origins may have had a bombastic action packed trailer, but once you arrived at the main menu, it was much more somber and serious. The point I'm trying to make is when I look at Veilguard, I can't find any unique way to describe it. It is just purely generic. Step number 3.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You even describe what yeah. Oh my gosh, darn it, dude. It's so weird to me how these people just like can say these things and not be challenged, okay, on how dumb they are.
Fail to reconnect with your audience. Now keep in mind, it's been 10 years since Inquisition. Most people...
I mean, yeah, Origins fans are dumb fucks. Sorry, man. Some of the Origin fans are cool, okay, because you recognize that, like, hey, maybe I'm not going to be an idiot, right? Some of you are like that. But a lot of Origins fans just basically don't understand their own game, as demonstrated by Actman. He seems to have a sorely lacking idea of what Dragon Age even is, or what Bioware games even is. I don't even think... Like, if you ask him what an RPG is, most RPGs that he would say he calls RPGs would not be counted by that. Because he'd probably say, like, when you can make choices, and you have a lot of options, and then when you say, like, what about Witcher 3? You can't kill Ciri. It's like, I mean, well, like, yeah.
People are going to be out of the loop on everything Dragon Age related. So Veilguard has to carefully and methodically reel players and fans back into the fold. Remind them what they love about these games, this series, and this universe, and what the world is all about. Nah, screw all that. Welcome to the world of Dragon Age. Are you ready to save the world? What? No, the game just started. That's nice. Remember that guy Solus? Well, hey, he's...
Okay. For a new player, Ryan, who gets into this, right? I don't think they're going to have that hard of a time. I think the only issue that they're going to have is necessarily connecting with all of the beats, right? I do think Veilguard is much better if you've played the prior games, right? Specifically Inquisition, right? You won't necessarily get the emotional beats as much if you didn't play those games, right? But it'll be fine, right? I don't know how it's not. Like, this guy makes it seem like Bioware was just, like, showing these characters, like, in quick succession and is not, like, explaining anything about them, right? Which is, like, not true. They explain who Solus is and what Solus wants and, like, the general gist of him, right? They explain a lot of things, right? I don't know, man.
Some of the bunch of teams, you gotta stop him right now. Are you ready to save the world? It's been 5 minutes since you finished making your character. Hold on, where am I? Can I explore this area? Do I have an origin story?
Okay, now, that is one thing I can agree. Like, we should have had, like, at least a bit more time to just, like, go through the world and just, like, ask questions and do that stuff like that. I can understand that. But Origins is, like Veilguard's cold opening is not bad. Like, there's nothing wrong with a cold opening, right? Like, I imagine this guy would agree that, like, a cold opening for, like, a video game, especially in an RPG, like, Baldur's Gate 3 has a cold opening. You do realize that, you know? You're off to character creation, immediately in the Nautiloid. You're surrounded by fire, brimstone, everything. You're literally in hell. Holy shit, it's an action set piece, you know? Dragons are flying all over the place, okay? It's like, you wouldn't call that bad at all. And again, now he's making this context of like, how does this like, this fails to reconnect, how does this fail to reconnect fans? Just like a cold opening, right? Like, I don't think fans who are coming back who haven't played like in like the games for like maybe a decade or something are like, oh wait, what's happening? No, I don't think they're. Actman, why do you have such a low opinion on those fans? You know, you think they're literal morons? I don't know, man. Maybe you're projecting a bit.
Story, how did I meet up with my companions? What the fuck happened to Varric? The pacing in Veilguard is atrocious.
How do I meet with my companions? Huh? How did...
Hey, dude, hold on. Where am I? Can I explore this area? Do I have an origin story? How did I meet up with my companions? What the fuck?
Also, you... Wait, no, holy shit. Actman is really dumb. My man, there was a blurb you could have read. Can you not read? Are you illiterate, man? How are you reading your script? Like, it gives you, like, a basic gist of your backstory. Now, would it have been cool to have a playable one? Yeah, obviously, right? But, like, like, new players who are coming in will read that blurb and be like, oh, okay, so this is, like, the journal of just my character. Okay, cool. I can get that. And, like, him saying, like, how do I meet my companions? What? Like... I'll say recruiting Lucanus is a bit weird because the way Nev describes it is, hey, we need to go to Treviso. Why? We need someone to kill the gods. Okay, I mean, sure, understandable. So who's the guy? An assassin. Oh. Well, he's a crow assassin. Oh. Yeah, it's a dude. Oh. Okay. Like, that is a bit weird, Lucanus is, but like every other character, like, basically fine. Davern makes sense. We needed a Grey Wardens, you know. Let me describe. So, we go to get Davern because we actually need to go get support from the Wardens. We go there, but then one of the, Antoine and Ivaka, the best characters in all of fiction, basically says, hey, we can't really help you now, there's something different, but we can lend you to a guy called, you know, Davern, right? We go to Davern, we meet him, we help him, and he says, like, hey, we helped you, how about you help us, and we'll probably try to get, you know, try to find the other griffins, right? Like, okay, cool. Makes sense, cool. Emmerich, Tosh, makes sense. We need a Dragon Slayer because we're fighting dragons, and like the best Dragon Slayer that the Harding knows, who Harding established has connections throughout the entirety of Thaddeus, because, you know, she's been hunting the Dread Wolf and for so long, and that, you know, it makes sense that, you know, they would, right, have connections because they've meeting a lot of people and they had contacts and all that kind of stuff. So Tosh, we go to. Now we need a Fade expert. Cool. Ballora has that because, you know, she's dealing with Fade. She's into it a lot because of the whole Harlothan Forest being like having a breaking down of Fade, breaking down of the Veil, and the Fade and real world are now mixing together. So she knows a guy, Emmerich. Cool. Makes sense. Understand. We have a good idea of who is it. It's only Lucanus who doesn't really make sense. Nev makes sense because we need to find Nev because she's a great detective. And Solus has been spotted in Minrathos, and maybe she knows where he is and can possibly like find him. Like, okay, makes sense. Harding, literally one of the premier scouts for the Inquisition, right? It's like it makes sense. There's explanations for that. So it's weird to say that like, they just like throw like Actman. Do you have a functioning brain? Can you understand what I'm saying? Do you have listening comprehension? Is all I'm saying.
What happened to Varric? The pacing in Veilguard is atrocious.
What happened to Varric? Holy shit, did you stop playing after the prologue? You moron? You... What? He's literally alive. He's like in bed and stuff. What? Or do you mean like what happened to Varric as in like what happened in the time between? I guess that's a valid criticism. I would like to ask my companions more questions. I agree on that. But man, you're not making it easy to understand what you're saying.
Tell something was wrong right off the rip. Bioware makes no attempt at world building before shoving you straight into it.
That's a cold opening. You realize that? Like, yeah, that's what a cold opening is. You get into the world, into an action sense to engage you, and then you explore and feel out later on. Veilguard does do world building, you know. Now, does it do world building that is normally standard of Bioware games? Not necessarily. A lot of the world building of Veilguard is fairly reading codex entries and like what characters say, but you can't directly ask them, right? You can't ask direct questions to Nev saying like, what are the Shadow Dragons, right? Or to Varric, like, what is the Inquisition? right? You can't ask those kind of questions, which does suck, and those are legitimate criticisms of the game. Is this a failure to reconnect to, and remember, he said, with the audience? No, man. I imagine someone who didn't play Inquisition for like the 10 years, right, and plays Veilguard is not going to be like suddenly confused on what's going on. I think they'll have enough capacity of their brain to basically say like, oh, so Varric's here, Inquisition, I remember Harding, she was like, out, okay, I can understand this. Minrathos, I remember this. Like, okay. Nah.
To me, this is RPG kryptonite. Rushing the player into a setting and universe they know almost nothing about or are unfamiliar with, and then expecting that player to care about saving this world. This is why TV shows have like episodic recaps, because people have short-term memory, and they need to be
Okay. Now, do I think they should have had an origins to get people into the world and sort of like understand it? Yeah, I agree with that. This is I think the only thing I'll probably agree with Agman, unless he says other things like I like good games and I don't like bad games, then on which I'll probably agree with him on that one. It does like that, like Veilguard doesn't have those kind of things, because it does really help the origin system. It eases you into the world, it makes you understand it, and again, like a low stakes setting, a low stakes start allows you to build up and be able to care a lot more. And I agree with that. Do I think Veilguard's the worst game because of the cold opening? No. Like, especially not worst game of 2024. It's not even near the bottom. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. It's such a weird thing to say, because like, should there have been Origins? Yeah. Is it lacking Origins? Worst game of 2024? No.
reminded of what happened a week ago, let alone 10 fucking years. My immersion wasn't broken. It was never established. The game failed to connect with me because right from the
Okay, now that's a bit of an exaggeration. I'm sorry, what? Could you explain?
start, I had
No end of questions going.
Our story begins where all great stories begin, with the seediest bar in town.
It's the seediest bar in town, and yet it doesn't have a name, nor does the person who owns it.
Wait until you remember Origins. Wait, you get to locations that don't really have names. Now, yeah, you do have inns and taverns and whatnot with names and whatnot. But like, my man, you're saying like, how can I connect to this place if like I don't know extensive backstory of this one fucking bar and this bar owner? It's like, holy shit, man, it's not important. Like, a lot of things in Origins that you just went to, locations, whatnot, were not really important. The random fucking fields you went into, random encounters, were not important. Okay, you didn't know you need to know the history of that like one bandit location. Okay, like, I'm sorry, man. Like, how could I care about this if I don't know literally everything about it? Like, okay, I'm sorry, what? Such a weird thing to say.
Who are these people I'm fighting? Why? Who's Nevgalis? What's she doing?
Woo! Who are these people I'm fighting? Man, the Venatori are pretty bad. Oh, she was captured by Venatori. Oh, okay. You could have said, like, who are the Venatori, right? Like, what are they, right? Which the game does answer. They're cultists. They're people who want Minrathous to become, you know, what they was back in the day. Which you can say, like, oh, what was Minrathous back in the day? Again, I do agree broadly, but, like, man, this criticism could have been summed up in, like, 5 seconds. Instead of this, like, protracted, long, oh, yeah. Like, what, 10 minutes? So it's 10, like, 6 minutes?
Doing here? How did she get lost? How did our team even form?
How'd she get lost? Oh, boy. Actman not having a functioning brain, I see. They literally said that she got caught because... Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, no, this is worse, dude. Okay, let's go.
No name, nor does the person who owns it. Who are these people I'm fighting? Why? Who's Nevgalis? What's she doing?
Oh my gosh, Varric fucking says, hey, I have this detective called Nevgalis. Holy shit.
Here? How did she get
Nev, right at the bottom. A lot of Venatori in the city have a reason to hate me.
lost? How did our team...
Figured I'd play along. Find out who wanted to settle the score this time. Actman, my man, how are you this dumb? You're either dumb or you're intentionally being idiotic. Both are bad, man. Both are bad. Because, like, you could have chosen so many other examples, man. Man, dude. Man. Like, holy shit, man. Like, I don't even... And this is the thing that really does make me feel very bad engaging with a lot of, like, people who are criticizing Veilguard. Because so much of the criticisms are just idiotic, okay? Either they didn't understand, they weren't they have a lack of comprehension, right, skills. or they're just like deliberately being dumbasses because they hate the game. Like, I don't know, man. There are a lot of reasons and a lot of good criticisms against the game. I've given it throughout this video. You don't have to say this stuff. Oh my gosh.
Team even formed. Did everybody link up to fight Solus? If so, why are we all in separate places and not together as a team?
Because he just started this ritual. They didn't know, man. They didn't. Oh my gosh, dude. It was literally. So we have a lead on where Solus might be. Holy shit. It's all happening right now. We have to get. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh, dude.
What's up with this floating city? Why does it show?
Fantastic. And not only that, but this is in the context of, okay, new players obviously will be a bit odded out, but like that's fine, right? Like you can explain it after the cold opening, right? That kind of happens with cold openings, right? You explain what happens afterwards. But like doing shit like this, which is just like, oh yeah, man, I'm so confused. I'm lost. I'm a baby. Please spoon feed me. I'm baby. I don't know. And you can say like, oh, but didn't Ackman say like to care about this world and whatnot? But it's transformed from care about this world to I'm confused. I don't know where I'm lost. Where's my mom? It's a good criticism to say that having a slow opening, right, to get yourself established, ask questions, all those kind of things, it gets you to like understand the world in a, and again, to understand the world in a safe context, so that when it's in danger, you can actually feel it being in more danger, right? Going through Denerim after, like, you know, in the first time when you just go into the markets about that, and then going to Denerim, when the Darkspawn are attacking, has a different feel to it, right? Same thing with Dragon Age 2 when the Qunari attack, or when the mages attack. Same thing with Inquisition when Haven gets attacked. Not Skyhold, I mean, that would have been cool. And Veilguard also does this as well, right? With Treviso and Minrathos, where if you don't save them and come back, you can see the after effects of you, of the consequences of you not saving one city. It's like, it does that, you know? Like, I mean, it is good when it does that, right? Because when it does do that, it is a lot more effective, right? But like, so much of this criticism just feels so needlessly long, right? You could have shortened this up in a quick, like, minute or two, and that would have been it. But no, it's this long, protracted thing for some reason.
Shine a light on some random lady. Like, what?
This is, folks, what they call show don't tell. Minrathos, Devinter broadly, is a authoritarian magocracy, meaning that mages have a lot of power, and it's also an authoritarian state. So, when random civilians get spotted and have done nothing, that can tell you that they're authoritarian. This guy is gonna be like, oh, Veilguard spoon feed you too much. Why are they shining this light on this random lady? She didn't do anything. Why wouldn't you tell me this was an authoritarian state? Fantastic.
What am I supposed to feel? What did she do?
I didn't do anything!
Oh boy. Man, me liking Veilguard feels so justified now, man. Because if this is the criticisms I have to contend with, man, this game must be fucking amazing.
Help her with what? Where'd that lady go? What was going to happen to her?
Oh my gosh, Ackman! You shouldn't have done that, man! That makes you look so bad, dude. I mean, no, it doesn't, because so many people are just gonna be like, yeah, what did happen to that lady? What? Huh? I'm confused. Bioware, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that Tevinter was an authoritarian state? I'm confused. Genius. Genius. Genius.
Nothing, I guess. Veilguard also commits the cardinal RPG sin.
It's also very funny that, like, literally seconds after the whole, like, tear down the veil happens, you go to the lady. No. Okay, no. Like, literally after seconds, it's, like, shown that the, like, lady runs, right? And also, it's so, like, even if they didn't show you that, like, couldn't you use your fucking head and be like, oh, demons are here, and they're killing people. The lady must have run away.
Of spamming you with jargon fantasy names and places and not allowing these concepts.
Jargon fantasy names and places. That's definitely what happened. Minrathos. Veil. Shadow Dragons. Somehow, oh man, this is so dumb, dude. You could literally go with Origins and then be like, yeah, they throw you with a lot of fantasy jargon. And not only that, my man, who doesn't like fantasy jargon? My man, you're talking about it like fantasy jargon's a bad thing. But you would say in Origins that it's cool to know these names like Orzammar, the Shaperit, the Stone, the Castless, the Paragons. Like fantasy names and shit being used in fantasy context. Because it's cool. It's amazing, dude. It's like, holy shit, I love this. But no, for some reason when Veilguard does it's bad somehow.
Concepts of world building to breathe. If you give players too much info.
And again, cold opening. Like, you can explain it afterwards. And again, I do agree. Veilguard should have allowed you to ask more questions. But again, the way this guy is going about it is just, like, so dumb.
Too quickly can be overwhelming, and it makes it hard for them to tell what's important. What names?
Veilguard only... The opening only introduces what's important. What do you mean? It's... Oh my gosh, dude. How can you... How do I know if Minrathous is important, okay? I don't know if Minrathous is important. The veil? What veil? What's a veil? I don't understand what a veil is. Veil Bray? Huh? Shadow Dragons? Nev guys?
Things they should remember. Nothing bothers me more than when I'm told to save the world within 5 minutes of starting a 50-hour game. I stopped.
Okay, Ackman, and this maybe is a personal thing, but like, I don't care. Like, I don't mind when a game says like, hey, you need to save the world in like the first like 10 minutes or 20 minutes of the game. It's 10 minutes, 20 minutes. 20 minutes of the game, right? I don't think that's a bad thing, because like there can be a really cool like ideas like being done through that, or like it can be executed really well, where you get you know, absolutely like thrown so much like stuff that you can't really make sense of it, but then after it you get to pick it up, all those like pieces, and then like assemble it and then like get an understanding, which makes it a lot more interesting in that way. There's a lot of like cool things that a cold opening can do, right? And a lot of games do cold openings and are very successful, right? I think Uncharted 2 does that as well, where you're literally just on a train, just like falling off and whatnot. It's like, okay, cool, this is literally legitimately a cold opening, right? You don't know what's happening, where you're going. Now you can say like, oh, but that's the sequel to Uncharted 1. Again, criticism. What about the people who are new to the series? Again, cold openings are fine. I don't know why this is like such a huge issue now. Somehow cold openings bad. And you can say that I enjoyed Dragon Age because I had a nice slow pace of things and understood it and was able to like have these things explained to me, right? Because I like that. It made the world feel more alive and made me care about it more. Good criticism. Good criticism. Why are you saying this other stuff though? Why are you saying this other stuff though?
To you for destroying the world. I was not destroying the world.
Really, really great dialogue.
Great dialogue. You were destroying the world, man. That's why I stopped you. But I wasn't destroying them. It's like, oh my god, what do you think Solis should have said? Just like sternly like, oh my gosh, dude. This really is like the...
You were destroying the world. Nuh-uh. The fuck you mean?
Oh my gosh. Is he gonna let the rest of the scene play?
Nuh-uh.
You stop Solus from flooding the world with...
Well, he doesn't. Solus literally says afterwards, I wasn't trying to destroy the world. I was trying to return it to its form that it once was. I was trying to go back to the state of what the world used to be, right? When the veil... Because the veil is an artificial creation, a mistake that I made. Like... That tells you so much. Even if you're a new player, it tells you that what Solus thinks, what Solus thinks he is doing is actually good. He doesn't see how what he's doing is wrong, because what he is doing is rectifying a mistake that happened long ago. Makes sense. That's great characterization. It's like, okay, this is really good. But no, apparently him saying like, I wasn't trying to destroy the world. I was actually saving it because of here's my philosophy. It's like, okay, cool. Somehow that's bad. Okay, sure. Sure, Actman. Sure.
But demons rook. The elven gods Elganon and Gillenane have escaped from Fenrirel's prison. And it seems like they want to destroy the world. Like I said, end of the world. You can mull it over later.
Yep, that's the plot. That's like...
What was Origin's plot then? What is this complaint? Man, Origins wants me to save the world? How generic. I'm smart. Oh my gosh, dude.
Like the plot. That's what I hate about RPGs right there. I feel like the
Okay.
Exciting incident. What starts the journey of an RPG is the most pivotal moment in the early game, because that's when people will either be hooked or they'll turn the game off and never boot it up again.
Yeah, and how does a slow opening not do that? Like you're making it seem like slow openings can't make you hooked. That's a really dumb idea and limits what games could be, you know? Like somehow video games cannot be like having slow openings because that's not what you want. I'm sorry, Ackman. Games don't work like that. Let me tell you something. Subjectivity exists. People like different things for different reasons. And those things are valid. Now, you can obviously have a personal preference for things. That's fine. That's okay, you know? But to say that, oh, the way that Veilguard does it is bad is really weird to say.
Fable starts with you as a child doing chores around town so you can buy a birthday gift for your sister. Then it gets attacked by bandits who murder your parents, your sister gets her eyes cut out and kidnapped, and then you're kidnapped by a man who ends up betraying you. And it's nice, simple, wholesome fun. And I'm hooked. This is why I prefer when RPG starts small.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, man, if you prefer that. But, like, saying that there's no value in how, you know, Veilguard does its thing is really dumb to say. Because you could have made a very much more articulated criticism, which is, I do find the cold openings for video games do work a lot of times. There are many examples of this. But I feel like this doesn't really work for Dragon Age, especially because what I really like about Dragon Age and RPGs in general is when I'm being given some time to explore, understand, talk to people, understand the world, and the sort of normalcy that's going to be in place. And then it can contrast that with, you know, a much more tension, conflict, which makes it more meaningful to me. And I like that. You could have said that, Ackman. But instead, you said some like random bullshit of like, I hate it when RPGs like want me to save the world in the beginning because that's bad and dumb, and I hate it. It's like, Ackman, you don't have to be this much of a moron, you know.
And slow. In Origins, the Darkspawn are the main threat, sure, but your first goal is to complete your origin story, then become a Grey Warden, then you fight in a huge battle, realize how brave a threat the Darkspawn truly are, and set about rallying allies and support with the ultimate goal of killing the Archdemon and saving Ferelden, stopping the Blight. By having it be save Ferelden and not save the world, it's much more personal. It makes the world of Dragon Age feel much.
That's bad as well, because now it's saying that save the world plots are actually bad. I'm sorry, man. What do you fucking think was happening in Origins, dude? You were saving the world. Like, if you failed, the world would be devastated and another era of the Blight would begin. I'm sorry, man. You were saving the world. You moron. Holy shit. No, we were saving Ferelden. The Archdemon wouldn't have, like, left Ferelden, okay? He would have just, like, kept it. I mean, all the people in Ferelden died, but, like, outside, no one would care, you know? Like, oh, the Archdemon wants his own little country, okay? Who would deny the Archdemon a birthday boy from having the Ferelden country? Who would... Oh my gosh, man. You were saving the world in Origins. The only Bioware game where you're not saving literally all of existence. Because not only that, the Archdemons are a literal threat to all of existence. Because any blighted area is now no longer inhabitable. Crops can't grow. Animals start turning savage. They started turning literally blighted. Nothing can grow. It's a wasteland then. The only Bioware game where it's you not saving the world is Dragon Age 2, where it's literally Hawk's wacky adventures to not get depressed.
Bigger. It's a slow burn, and that's the best way to cook a nice juicy steak, by raising the stakes over time. Why did they ditch the origin stories? No other game really does that.
Okay, let's get to this. Okay. Let's learn something. That's... Telemetry. Let's get to it. So there was this thing. Here is... So this was taken from a live stream with David Gator for his new studio, Summerfall Studios. He was doing some stuff promoting, he was playing Dragon Age, and they were given some insight, right? Now, he revealed a pretty juicy bit of detail. The fans who hang out on the forums and in similar places are very different idea about what kind of game they like and what to play versus the telemetry Bioware get from the public in general. As an example, fans on the forums tend towards playing non-humans and feeling that playing as a human is boring. Forum polls reflected that, but Bioware's general public telemetry shows that around 75 to 80% of players played a human in Dragon Age Origins. Elves were 15%. And dwarves are 5%. In contrast, the core forum based the human figures dropped to 30. That's why. Because the general public doesn't give a shit. Now, does that mean Bioware should have just, like, you know, abandoned it because no one does it? No, they shouldn't. But you make it sound like Bioware did it because they hate you, they hate RPGs, they hate life, they want to kill you specifically. No, it was just literally just like what features do most people like, or do most people engage with, right? And especially when you get to Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition, where it's like we are under crunch, we have very limited time, and game development is generally a lot of could have beens, would have been nice tos. Dragon Age Origins was supposed to have another, like two other origins, an Avar origin, a barbarian one, and a commoner origin, a human origin. But they didn't have that because they got cut. Because there wasn't enough time, there was something wrong with them, it just didn't feel too right, and that's why they got cut. Games have a lot of cut content because if you want to get a game out, you can't have it in the oven for like forever, you know? Eventually you're going to have to get it out because, you know, you need the money and stuff, and you need to like creatively like move on, right? But again, the implication that like Bioware hated you and doesn't want Origins because they hate you, no, that's not the case, man. Like, if they hated you so much, they would have just kept it a live service game, which is another funny thing that Eggman never mentioned in this entire thing, it seems. Dragon Age Veilguard was a live service game, but they chose to not make it a live service game. They chose to make it a single-player game and try to remove all the live service elements as much as they can. Were they successful? Not entirely. There's still a lot of issues. But that indicates a huge shift for Bioware, because it does mean that they're going to move away from the live service elements and more towards a traditional Bioware game, right? And that is a good thing. That shows that Bioware does care. If Bioware didn't care, they wouldn't have made Dragon Age, you know, a single-player game. They wouldn't have gone through that effort, right? A person who doesn't care wouldn't, like, people who don't care wouldn't put that much effort in, you know? Now, a lot of people will be like, well, that's just the baseline thing. You should just do that automatically. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that you think, like, being good is, like, somehow effortless. No, man. Being good, being a good person takes a lot of effort. You know, it really does. Being a bad person takes no fucking effort at all. Like, it literally, like, being a bad person is literally just you saying fuck you to everyone. And there's like, no harm in that. Like, you're not going to be harmed, because why would they punch you, you know? That would be more accommodation of them than you, correct? But whatever, man. Fire is bad, I guess.
That each one gave you a slice of life. They established relationships between races, the different factions, which ones don't get along. Templars and mages? Oh boy. In Veilguard, they completely skipped this crucial step and just jumped straight to the inciting incident. It'd be like if this was the start of Origins. If they just skipped right to the Battle of Ostagar.
That's not bad. Again, like, a personal preference as well, but, like, come on, man. Like, be reasonable, you know? Like, understand that, like, hey, those things have a place in it, but, like, I feel like you could have just said, like, those things have a place, but I don't necessarily think Dragon Age benefited from it.
It'd be jarring and confusing. You'd be like, who the fuck am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Where are all these...
I'm sorry, Eggman, that you need to be hand-holded like a fucking baby. You know, I imagine anyone who's playing Veilguard for the first time, who hasn't played any of the prior Dragon Age games, is not going to be like a fucking child who's just like, me confused. Where am I? I want my mom. Like, oh my gosh.
These people, instead of these origin stories showing how your character becomes who they are, how you just click a button in the main menu. Yep, this is who I am. I'm a Grey Warden.
I've seen your work, like that time you ditched your orders for a better strategy during the Darkspawn attack.
Like that time you stopped the Darkspawn?
How is that bad? That's good, actually. It's great when characters reference my backstory, because it makes me feel like my character actually exists in that world. Because, you know, they're actually talking about what I did in the world. It also is pretty cool because it means characters might react to me a bit different. I don't know. Like, you're saying this is bad, you know. You could have just said the good take of this and the other thing. But no, you're just saying, like, that's bad. Which, like, offers no fucking insight whatsoever.
Remember that, Bruce? Remember that? Remember all that Grey Warden stuff you did? Sure. My character's history is assumed and told to me. I don't get to play through it or live it myself. It feels...
Again, I agree with that, but, like, my man, you do realize you could have just, like, phrased this so much better. Again, and not only that, but this doesn't make Dragon Age Veilguard the worst game in 2024. Like, by far, man. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, this just doesn't, you know?
Feels cheap and lazy. Origins also did this crazy thing where you could, like, have control of your character and explore an area right from the start. You could engage in dialogue at your own pace, talk to different NPCs, maybe try to solve some riddles that a talking demon bear is giving you. In Veilguard at the start, you're railroaded down a single path, balancing on beams and watching things happen around you before engaging in incredibly shallow combat. The key to RPGs and why I love them so much comes down to player choice. Origins has no end of it, Veilguard has very little. And hey, if you like what you've been...
Actually, I hate it. Act Man, you're a bit of a moron. So Origins has a lot of choice. Cool. Like I remember when I could kill Duncan. No, I couldn't do that. I remember when I could kill Terran Logan. No, I couldn't do that. I remember when I could. My man, you're overstating Origins like choices. My man, you do realize Origins had basically the three dialogue options, which is be a nice guy, be a bit of a neutral dude, and be a bit of an ass. You know, like I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that you thought Bioware was something that it wasn't. Okay, Bioware games have never been about like scrolling dialogue choices or giving you like a lot of options to define your character. They were never Fallout New Vegas. They were never trying to be Baldur's Gate 3. They were always trying to have you play as a character and then be a co-author in their story. You and them were in control both. It wasn't you had control and Bioware just like set the scene, you know? But nah, man. I get it, you know, think it's hard, you know, think it's very hard.
And all the stupid costumes I wear. So if you're interested, links are in the description, pinned comment. Step number 4 to destroying a franchise: simplify and remove RPG mechanics. Those pesky numbers that make creating a build interesting and
What?
fun. You don't need none of that. Yeah, make it look like a fucking mobile game. It's got to be as simple and basic as possible. Veilguard is just...
Okay. What? I'm sorry, huh? How does that make sense? How does that make sense at all? Like, and not only that, who played Origins for the gameplay? Like, there are some people, obviously, the crazy guys, but like for the majority, and here's the thing, right? When I think RPG, like when I think RPG, what I think is more like narrative choice, right? I think RPG narrative choice, because that's what an RPG is to me. And in D&D, like most of my D&D games that I ever do, like we don't really focus that much on combat because it's more the act of playing like our characters and like the banter between each of the other players, you know, because and the choices we make in the narrative and how that, you know, takes shape to the story and everything, right? Who gives a shit about mechanical RPGs? Beyond people who just like that kind of like, oh, different characters feel different, you know, and there's a lot of variety in builds and whatnot. Like, that's not what I liked about Bioware games, and not what I think most people like about Bioware games, right? If that was the case, okay, then like, who gives a shit about the narrative choices, right? Because that doesn't matter then. Because if what matters a lot is the sort of like mechanical stuff, and you can say like both of them matter, but like come on, dude, let's be serious, okay? One matters a lot more to a Bioware game than not, okay? If you remove like Dark Souls like mechanics and just had like, oh, you have like sword and shield build and that's it, and you can upgrade it and go from there, people would be like, yeah, that's actually removing its RPG mechanics, because again, it's a mechanical RPG. What makes Bioware games a lot more enjoyable is the narrative RPG mechanics.
Another action game with cookie cutter combat and nothing to make it stand out. Nothing but brain numbing puzzles so simple and basic a toddler would get bored of them.
Now this is weird for me, because people are now saying like, oh yeah, Dragon Age Veilguard has like has puzzles that a 5-year-old can figure out, and I'm not 5, I'm a genius. Like, yeah. Like, I'm sorry, man. Dragon Age has always had simple puzzles. If you struggle with this, I'm sorry, man, you must be a moron. If you struggle with this, I'm sorry, man, you must be just a bit of a moron. Okay, I'm sorry, man. The puzzles in Origins were fucking simple, okay? There was like no depth understanding, no brain thinky, as the kids might say. There was nothing to it. Like, Veilguard's puzzles are fine, man. They're okay for what they are. I don't come to Dragon Age for complicated puzzles. They're a cool break for gameplay and like sectioning off the world and stuff, because that's what they're used for. They're not used for like the point of the game. Like, you saying like, oh, the puzzles aren't challenging is like a weird thing to say, because now you're saying like Dragon Age should have hard puzzles. You obviously disagree with that. You're just saying this because you want to hate Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm like, okay, sure, man. There are better ways to do that, but sure.
As much shit as I give Diablo 4, I would honestly play that over this, because at least you can build a character through armor.
Wow, I can't believe mechanical RPGs is what Bioware is all about. I remember my time when I had like a cool build, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I like about Bioware games. Who gives a shit about this narrative stuff, okay? Like, oh my gosh, dude.
And weapons and all different kinds of upgrades. It gives you something to strive for.
And not only that, but that is weird, because like, Veilguard has some builds. This was one build, Ryan, where you get like 0 defense. And it basically means like you die quickly, right? No, it drains your health. This is equipment that drains your health. But then there's a ring, right? This ring is restores your health. Oh wait, no. I remember now. Being a bit of a scout brain. There's this item where your abilities, I believe, cost health. Yeah. Yeah. And you get to use them a bunch. But there's a ring that when you get to 20%, you 20% or below health, you instantly refill your health, which means infinite ability use. Fantastic, isn't that? That's an interesting build. There's a lot of other builds as well that give you immunities to specific damage types. That also, there's one that has like no physical attack whatsoever, but it has a lot of the effects like electricity, necrotic, fire, all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of interesting builds that Veilguard does have. You can have a stagger build, you can have a build that's more focused on electricity or fire, and they have all different effects, right? There's a lot of variety in Veilguard, right? To say that there isn't just seems very dumb, you know? And just seems like he got his opinions from like some other guy. Which, I mean, sure, man, but I'm not that weak where I get my opinions from other people, you know, and don't think about it critically.
Know why Veilguard insists on being an action-adventure game, which is like one little tiny slice of RPG. There are some flashy moves, I suppose, but there's no real thought or strategy. No need to worry about your positioning or tactics. All attacks are...
Right? That's fucking untrue. What do you mean? Holy shit. You really did play 3 hours of the game, huh? What do you play on baby mode as well? Can't believe it, Eggman. Can't believe it. Veilguard does have a lot of strategy, right? On the higher difficulties, you die really quickly, and so your positioning is very important, right? There's a weird thing for CRPGs where you stand in place and basically hit the guy, you know? Sometimes you have to move your archers because there's some damage numbers that aren't really great if you're close up to someone. But for the most part, you just sit there and hit them until they die, right? There's not a lot of positioning. Veilguard has positioning, and this is what like a lot of games that have rolls or dodges in them do, is that enemies will have like wide arcs or high damage moves, or incentivize you to, you know, move away because you can't really heal it readily, right? Veilguard does that, you know. Veilguard has a lot of positioning, and it's funny to me for him to say that, because he clearly didn't put any thought to his like ideas. He didn't think like, wait, am I wrong? He didn't think at all, how could I be wrong? He just, brain first, no introspection, I must be right, because I am right.
Painfully telegraphed, easy and obvious to dodge. No need to worry about leveling up your character and getting better gear.
Very funny, because on higher difficulties, these things go away. And you have a customizable difficulty, which means that you can like basically turn off all these like indications of, hey, the attack's coming to you, dodge. Very funny.
Here, just run around while your allies attack the enemy because they can't be killed for some reason. Or hell, you can't even control your party members.
Now, I can say I do disagree with that, because I do, like, I mean, I've never controlled my party members really, other than just, like, healing and maybe, like, one spell or ability occasionally. But it does kind of feel cool to just, like, be them for a bit, you know, and see how they play. And it does, like, add the stakes that if they die and whatnot, and then, like, your numbers get lower and lower and lower and lower until it's just you or, like, one other companion. It brings a lot of attention to a fight, and I do like that. Whoa, another thing I agree about Actman, huh? He sometimes makes good points.
You can give them like a few basic commands, but again, that's something that used to interest me. It was like building a party. It was one of Bioware's greatest strengths with their RPGs. You gotta control 3 or 4 characters instead of just one. It allowed you to play other classes that you didn't pick for your specific character. It gave you more options to differentiate and create your build. Bioware's RPG mechanics used to be the seasoning on the steak, and once again, Larian has continued this design aspect of a full...
Okay, I wonder when he's gonna get to the narrative stuff, because, like, I don't know, man. Oh, there it is. Okay. I don't know, man. This kind of is weird to me, because I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I guess, but, like, he played Bioware games for its gameplay. I'm sorry, what? Like, a lot of people called Origins Combat, like, simplified back in the day, because it was a simplified BG Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Like, and it was bad because of that, but, like, whatever, man. And Larian as well. Okay, here's the thing. If Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't as cinematic, not a lot of people played. People who play Baldur's Gate 3 do not play it for its combat. I'm sorry, man. They do not, okay? They do not. They play it for the cinematics and characters. That's it. Divinity Original Sin 2 comes out, and it's not as popular as Baldur's Gate 3. Why? Because it's not as cinematic or well presented. That's just like the rule of a lot of video games, you know? If it's not presented well, it's not cinematic, okay, it's not going to do that well. Because who knew that people liked cinematic games? Or cinematic things? Who knew?
Party you control. They're the ones doing that now to great success. It feels like all of the dynamic choices and elements have slowly been stripped.
And once again, Bioware and Larian are different studios who do different things. They're not the same. Very funny to me that this guy's like, yeah, man, why can't I ask questions when in like Baldur's Gate 3 you can barely ask your companion questions? Like, you will never get an answer to Shadowheart why she was on the Laudelite until the very end of the game in a book. Like, you won't be able to understand who Gale's mom is, which is very important to him. You don't understand, like, Asterian's, like previous, like, friends or family before he was a vampire. You won't understand that. Like, there's so much that you can't ask. There's so much lack of world building because you don't really get an idea of what, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is. But now somehow Dragon Age Veilguard is somehow bad. Okay, sure. Somehow bad there.
Stripped away from the Dragon Age series, and that's how it's been destroyed. Step number 5, and this is a good one. Make me hate my companions. There's such a stark contrast between dialogue in previous games compared to Veilguard. It's not just the writing, but their performances as well.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Fucking gay!
Non-binary.
Okay. Okay, sure. I also remember when Origins fans were like, I'm a serious character. I make sarcastic jokes. Occasionally. No, I don't make any silly jokes. Like Devran, who says bosom a lot. Well, and not only that, but this is such a weird thing to complain about, because I'm like, my man, what's wrong with Tosh saying, what's wrong with his scene where Tosh is being confronted by her mother, who's again, and this is, Actman barely understands Dragon Age lore. I guarantee you, okay, if you tell him that, like, hey, Qunari originally didn't have women as soldiers, he'd be like, that's very true, yes, I remember Sten saying women can't be warriors. And he didn't understand the other parts, which is like, oh no, the Qunari society is actually like a trans-misogynistic society, where if you're like giant beefy woman, you're now a man. If you're a weak-willed limp-dick dude, then you're a woman. Like, fantastic. Fantastic. Huh?
I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
Even the random NPCs from Origins sounded like they were giving it their all.
Lies! You have betrayed us!
Oh my gosh, dude. And this is such a weird comparison, okay? You are comparing, like, an emotional scene where a companion's, like, talking about their own feelings, their own, like, personal development, and then you're like, let's have some random, like, fucking character, like, shout a bit, okay? Like, how are these comparable, dude? Like, you should compare like for like. You should compare, like, Liliana's scene after she confronts Marjolaine, right? Or Alistair after he meets Goldana. Or like there's so many other better ways to do this, but no. Or you could even have, like, Ogren confronting Falsi, right? That's like two characters talking to each other, and you can use that as an examination. But now, man, like, I don't get this, dude. I don't get this.
Betrayed our lady!
The dialogue is so wooden, stilted, and lifeless.
Why do you... What? Huh? Actman. Anyone who thinks Actman is, like, a pretty well-reasoned guy, you're a moron, right? You're all so easily fucking pleased, okay? Because I can't imagine how people can see him go like, you betrayed our lady, and then have a picture of Morgan show up, and not think, like, what was the point of that? That's literally like to make me a fucking straight white male to go like, bazoinga, me see hot lady, me dumb. Fantastic.
It makes all of the companions feel inhuman, as if they had their lines written in alphabetical order and read them without any context of the situation. Instead of going through the process of meeting and recruiting.
And I find it funny how he went to Balar's one, which is one of the most fucking emotional scenes in Veilguard, and be like, yeah, I mean, that's bad actually. It's like, okay, cool. I'm glad your hatred. I'm glad you made hating Veilguard your personality. It's a very good look on you.
Recruiting your companions, you know, like how meeting people in real life normally works. Instead, they're just given to you. Your character, the Rook, has already met these three, but I have.
Huh? What? Dragon Age Origins had the same thing as well. You knew Jarwin before. He was your best friend in the mage circle. Like, Neski, that random human noble dude, Grom, what was his name? Tamlin, Meryl, what was the other one? Dalish, no, City Elf. Yeah, Siorin, Shani. Like, what is this fucking complaint, dude? Like, oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh, darn it, dude. And this is what really does get me so much riled up. It's just like, I can't believe that I'm gonna have to basically, like, if I want any serious discussion of Veilguard, right, I'm gonna have to ignore these people because they have literally nothing to offer. nothing to offer, no insight, no understanding, no like desire to be better or to learn or to have introspection. They're just gonna be, my personality is hating Veilguard, which is like, okay, buddy, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but that's a bit of a miserable life, don't you think?
Haven't. I'm the one playing this game. So there's a disconnect between me, my player character.
Yeah, and that is very funny because it's like, oh yeah, RPGs, like for Actman apparently, should only have like you be the center of attention, which is like weird because like it does move a lot of cool storytellings, right? Like even if Actman Actman doesn't like this, right? I can't believe he can't even like do the basic decency and say like, I understand why some people would like this and that's perfectly fair, but for me it's a bit of a different thing.
And my companions, because my character met these people off screen. In Origins, companions felt way more natural. They were a smaller part of a bigger world. More importantly, recruiting
also,
them.
that is weird to say that like when your character is met a companion already, it's now somehow unnatural. That's not how fucking natural thing. That's not how the term works, man. Like feeling natural to meet them is if the context you meet them makes sense. If the reasonings you're seeing them make sense, and it makes sense in Veilguard. The only one that doesn't really is Lucanus, and I already just talked about that. Like, oh my gosh, dude, they can't even go the easy layup and like, Lucanus's recruitment is a bit weird. Like, they can't even do that, dude. Oh my gosh, dude, they had to go on the fucking, they're not even scraping the barrel, okay? They're literally making shit up, you know, and like, yeah, somehow this is unnatural. Like, okay, how? Like, he didn't, okay, funny thing, when he played the whole Tosh clip, he didn't even say why it was unnatural. What makes Tosh's mom, saying like, are you a man or a woman, and then Tosh saying like, no, I'm they them, right? That's what I feel like. He didn't even explain how that's unnatural, because that's a weird thing to say, because like, how is that unnatural, you know? People like talking to their loved ones and saying like, hey, I don't feel like I'm that anymore, I'm this, you know? And it's like, that's completely fine, you know? That's literally how some people talk, you know, when they're confronted on their identity and then talk and discuss their identity, you know?
What's an option? You can leave Sten to die in his cell if you want. You can kill all of your...
Okay. Okay. Can I kill Logain? No. Can I kill Duncan? No. You can't do these things until the game lets you do it. For Duncan, you can't do it at all. Saying that Origins is like, oh, you kill your companions is like fucking useless, right? Like, it would be a neat option to do it, but like, it's not that meaningful, you know? Like, the game is centered around its characters. If you play Origins without your companions, it is a lot less meaningful. It is a lot less impactful. It's not that great, you know? But when you do have them, they do make the game a lot better, you know? And that's a weird thing to me, because it's like, why would you make companions where they're just like required basically, and if you don't, they're just basically a bad thing, right? I don't know, man. Like, would it be cool? I guess. But like, this feels like, within the context of this whole video, such dumb points.
Your companions except one. How the companions were introduced in Origins was authentic.
Except one? What? Huh? I guess, man. But like, this is so weird to me, because it's like, no Origins player will naturally be able to like piss off Alistair so much unless they're literally metagaming it to get rid of him. You know, same with Morrigan, right? You will only be able to piss them off so much if you metagame for it.
Showed you a part of who they were, what drives them, what are their values. Nev Gallus is introduced by doing magic.
Morrigan is introduced by saying, barbarians swoop down upon you. Like, oh yes, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Liliana is introduced by killing people. Yeah, Ogren is introduced by being a drunk. Yeah, You're very smart, Ackman. You have a very good head on you. Like, okay, now, I do think Veilguard could have had you ask a lot more direct questions, but you do get to understand these characters. Nev Gallus is a detective, why? Because, she wanted to help people because of something very specific involving her uncle, and that's why she was. What was the relationship with her uncle? Very positive, especially considering the fact that he cared about her for her, especially because in Tevinter, mages are like, especially for her, because her caste in Tevinter, I can't remember, is the like one of the lower castes. And when there's a mage born into that, like, you can definitely go up, but a lot of people will use that relationship as you being a mage to basically use you to get their a hitch up right. And Nev's uncle didn't do that to her, you know? Like, you do get to understand these characters, their motivations, and who they are in a very different way than other Bioware games. It's more, I guess the word naturalistic is it, because you get to introduce these elements as the game continues onwards, right? Bellara is an example of that, where you have to ask, like, why is Bellara a veil jumper? And it gets answered later on, which is Bellara is a veil jumper because she saw the problems in Arlathan Forest and wanted to help, right? But before, what was she doing before then? She was with her brother Syrian, and they were trying to find something called the Nodus de Tharlan, a elven artifact that could store memories and a lot of history about elven culture. They wanted to do that because they want to, you know, have the knowledge of the elven empire like regained. They want that, you know, because they want the be able to restore their lost culture. Makes sense. Where's Syrian? Well, Syrian died. How did he die? Well, he died because Bellara, because like Bellara says herself, she didn't check one of the resonance crystals on an elven artifact, which killed him. Right? We get to understand these characters. So to say that we don't get to understand them is very dumb and shows that Ackman really did play 3 hours, okay? Like, you don't have to play an entire game to understand, like, if you like it or not. You don't have to. But if you want to criticize it, play the fucking game. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, if you want to criticize a game, and especially in this one, it says how to destroy a franchise, play the fucking game. Because I guarantee you, having to play the game and then understand all of it gives you better criticism and better reasonings. But nah, man. Ackman, the gamer bro, just wants to be a bit of a dumbass. That's fine, you know? Who amongst us doesn't want to be a bit of a dumbass?
Right, Friday. Not the worst timing.
Oh, and they'll get their cute, quirky little intros. I'm amazed.
Yes. I remember when Morrigan said, barbarians swooping down upon you. Yes.
I'm a mage. I'll go.
The companions and
Missing context there. A lot of people like to use that and be like, oh, see bad dialogue. When it's like in context, it's like someone needs to come. You need someone to go with you or whatnot. The Harding says like, I'll go, and it says like, and then Nev as a very determined, very matter of fact that I'm a mage, which is literally meant to take that she knows how to deal with his like magical maelstrom a lot better than Harding does, right? Which is fair. You know, maybe a mage is better for when literally the veil between realities is going awry. But nah, man, I like when people just like are dumb and idiots.
in Veilguard have this uncanny ability of avoiding anything that might be dark, edgy, gritty, or evil. It's like everything is sugar-coated now. In Origins, you...
What? How'd you get that, man? And also, I'm sorry, man, you said you played 3 hours? How'd you get the Davern clip? I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that your information is from Twitter and from dumbasses who are making videos themselves. But this is not how you form your opinions, okay? You should probably have some critical thinking skills and actually try to, you know, understand, you know? That'd be probably good for you. Okay, does Veilguard have, like, dark moments with the companions? They do, right? They definitely do. It involves a lot of, like, murder, finding out loved ones are, like, twisted and stuff like that. And then, literally, Davern's whole thing is, yeah, my charges, the Griffins, are all gone now, and I have to go after this Gloom Howler, who's now like, okay, cool, I need to, you know, kill him and rescue these literal lost Griffins, right? Pretty dark stuff. But nah, man, he saw only a few clips and then, like, basically made his entire opinion around that.
You can let a mother sacrifice herself in a blood magic ritual to save her demon-possessed child.
You let Lady Isolde sacrifice herself with blood magic. How could you do that?
Or you could kill the child, like I said.
You killed Connor. You killed him. A little boy. How could you do that?
In Veilguard, I can't be rude or mean to people that annoy me.
And this is very funny to me because he's played the... Oh, okay,
If I don't like my companions, then at least give me the opportunity to piss them off for my own amusement. There's endless...
Why don't you like Tosh? Please tell me, why don't you like Tosh? I'd be very interested into seeing why you don't like Tosh and you want to piss her off. Piss them off. Ugh. Fucking nail me to the cross, okay? Man. Okay. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about Bioware. Bioware has you play roles, right? In Dragon Age Origins, you played as the Grey Warden. Now, the Grey Warden is, you know, a character who meant to get the job done no matter what, and you could be evil. It allows for that role playing. Commander Shepard, you are a military career man who believes in humanity. you can't kill the council in Mass Effect 3. Well, I mean, you can't kill the council when you're in the chambers and just like fucking shoot rapidly. Okay, you can't do that. You don't have the option to do that. You can do that at the end, but that is within the context of we have resources we need to divert either to the Reaper or to saving the council. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, yeah, you sure you let the council die, but it's also done within the context of a role-playing choice of we need to focus on Sovereign, because Sovereign's the threat. You know, that's completely fair, right? That's understandable, it makes sense, and whatnot. But it's weird to me that a lot of people don't understand this and think that Veilguard's somehow out of line. It isn't. It isn't out of line. You're playing a hero. The whole trailer is we can be heroes, which is literally the point. And I imagine that's a good thing when you want to save the world. You don't want some like random dumb fuck who wants to be like evil McEvilson when you want to save the world, you know? Especially for who Varric recruits. Varric's obviously not going to recruit a psychopath. They're not going to do that. They're going to recruit someone who can save the world. And that's fine. If you want to play as in an RPG where you can be like an ass and like kill children, sure, okay? But Bioware games often don't let you do that without reason. You can kill Isolde and you can kill Connor, sure. But Bioware doesn't let you just kill every random child you meet. There's a child in Redcliffe where he's in one of the houses and you have to go get him for his sister. For her sister, right? And you can't kill him. Why? Because Bioware doesn't let you do that. The reason you kill Connor is because Connor's a possessed person. It makes sense. But no, apparently somehow the Dragon Age in Bioware is about letting you kill people. Sure, man, sure.
Opportunities and origins to do or say some fucked up shit that's gonna piss off your companions.
What? Of course we should revive him. That hasn't changed. I just don't know how you could do it, how you could make that decision.
It made them feel like real people. No.
How does that make them feel like real people? I'm sorry, man. When you're playing as a character, right? Like let's say Witcher 3, Geralt of Rivia. Why can't I kill Ciri? Because it's not in his character, right? Why can't I be rude to Ciri in like a much more like you moron, right? Because it's not in Geralt's character. Geralt can be stern, sure. But Geralt can't be mean to Ciri. Why is that? Because it's not in the character. I'm sorry that you want to kill children and piss off people. That's fine if you want to do that. But like, my man, understand the fucking genre you're in, and specifically the subgenre you're in with Bioware games, okay? Like, but yeah.
Over time, you got to learn what kinds of actions each companion responded well or poorly to.
I was a fool to allow you to convince me to stay. I can stomach this no longer.
Like a hurricane, you wander, attacking everything in your path, wasting strength. There is no purpose here.
Here's the thing, in a game like Veilguard, you need good and evil choices for the player to make. The more cruel or heartless you can be, the more of an impact it'll leave on the player and their companion.
No? What? I'm sorry, man. You're saying that RPGs are like... No. RPGs can have a different aspect of that, sure. Where you being evil can allow you being good more meaningful, right? But like, Veilguard doesn't lack for choices that are in that vein. You saving Treviso or Minrathous is a choice. You have to sacrifice either, again, in case a lot of people, for like 2 different cities. And your reasons for why you have to do that is complicated, right? And informed by your character or your beliefs and stuff like that. To say that Veilguard doesn't have that is very dumb to me. Again, this really does feel like RPGs are when I can be mean. It's like, okay, cool. I'm glad we've decided that RPGs are when I can be mean.
Relationships are meant to be strained. They go through tests. Art reflects reality. People are complex. They have emotional problems and their own conflicting values.
Okay, I guess that doesn't happen in Veilguard, where you can ask characters to go into different directions. Like, you can encourage Harding to explore her powers or not. Or you can encourage other characters to go down their own paths. Like, okay, cool. Okay.
And when those clash, you want to see sparks fly.
No, stop! You can't just attack her. She's protecting the children. She's not the one we should be wary of.
Alistair's right. She seems to be a good person. You want us to assist this preachy schoolmistress to rescue these pathetic excuses for mages?
There's a golden rule in storytelling that says dialogue is better when characters are saying no to each other, when they're disagreeing.
Okay. That's a weird thing to say. And also weird to make that like as an objective statement. That's kind of moronic, huh? Like, characters disagreeing with each other can like show like different sides and to a conflict or to something, right? But that's not a rule, okay? That's like, you can still show different sides of things with just like other methods. That's very weird to say, and especially, I don't know, man. This really does just feel like to me like I like it when I have evil people with me. I'm like, okay, sure.
Talking shit.
Dwarf. What? Stop tripping me. Stop tripping yourself. If you were significant enough to notice, I wouldn't step on you.
And it's this golden rule that Veilguard has given no heed. It's like the writing is designed so that you can't offend or upset anyone.
Because you're playing as a hero. Why can't Shepard just murder everyone he comes across? Because it's not in his character. Do you want to play an RPG where that is the protagonist's character? Sure. Why are you playing a Bioware game then?
Because we wouldn't want that. As if all the effort went towards creating the scenes, but very little time went towards writing compelling conversations. I also don't understand how...
Oh yeah, I love it when he just says that and just like, oh yeah, the examples he shows, yeah, they're pretty compelling. They show character dynamics and stuff. Yeah.
facial expressions could have gotten worse from Origins. Like, yeah, this game looks...
I will say that the facial animations do have some issues. They're fine for the most part, but like, yeah.
kind of dated and goofy, but you can see the people's emotions on their face and you can hear it in their voice.
And you can't in Veilguard? Okay. Sure.
In Veilguard, it's like everyone's just smiling and talking like a fucking tranquil. What I'm trying to say is that when you have it on...
I love, he referenced something that's in drag, comedic genius, Ackman, comedic genius.
Ensemble cast of characters in games that rely around the party, a set of companions. Often the most interesting parts of that story come from how they interact with and play off of each other.
I've seen you take some bad hits.
And somehow that doesn't happen in Veilguard. Wanna show an example of that, Ackman? You're probably not gonna.
Don't you feel anything?
Anger, rage even, perhaps a little distress. Is this pain?
Oh yeah, man. I love it. I love it when that didn't, like, this isn't even a confrontation, right? This is just like Alistair asking him a question. So, there are a lot of times when characters ask Lucanus about spite, how he feels about it, how it comes about, and generally just like that. They're interesting conversations, you know. A lot of people ask Emmerich about being a necromancer and talking, and he gives his perspective, and which is pretty cool. Which is necromancy. There are people who do like bad things with necromancy, but there's also a lot of people who do good things with necromancy. Necromancy in Navarra is mostly about helping people, like, or helping the dead, by preserving them and for the living, so that they can feel comfortable and see like there's a way to feel that, hey, I can see them, they're there, and I can move on, right? They're in a good place now, that kind of things. There's also other lore implications, such as necromancy being used because Navarrans believe that, oh, if a soul goes into the Fade, it displaces a spirit. So we invite a spirit to us so that, you know, it can allow the Fade more room, right? But nah, apparently Ackman didn't really get to that part in his clip show of Twitter. Sure.
I'm not sure. I don't think I call it distress exactly. It's more...
For me, it is more...
That sounds more like a bowel movement. I mean that sharp stabbing...
And the final step, number 6, sever my ability to roleplay.
Yeah, and he doesn't show how Veilguard companions apparently don't have this dynamic. Fantastic. Fantastic. I love it when a point is being made and no evidence is provided.
This dialogue wheel system is absurdly outdated. It hasn't seen any innovation since Mass Effect.
Who cares? Like, okay, man. Here's the thing, Ryan. I don't particularly care about the dialogue wheel. The dialogue wheel is fine. Who cares if it's the only difference between a dialogue wheel and a list is literally just it's a UI element. It's a UI element. It's literally just that. You can have as many options as you are in a list dialogue, right? Why? Because you literally just have it on the... You can have as many... It's a fucking circle. It doesn't have a side. You can literally... Oh my gosh. There's nothing wrong with the dialogue wheel. The dialogue wheel was made because it's cinematic looking. Like, that's literally it, right? When you go to the 2006 gameplay, beta gameplay of Mass Effect, it's just like, it's cinematic, which is like, okay, right? There's nothing wrong with it, though. Again, if it was a dialogue list, you know what would have happened? You would have just had 3 options. It just would have been portrayed in the list. People oftentimes think that, for some reason, Dragon Age Origins has a lot of options, when in most reality it just has, like, the nice option, the neutral option, and the ass option. And it's like, okay, sure.
1, and its flaws have never been more apparent than now. Romancing companions used to be something you had to figure out. You had to riz them.
Oh my gosh. Fucking no, you moron. Romantic companions was literally just picking the right dialogue option. If you missed the fucking dialogue option, then like, boo-hoo, reload a save and do it. You didn't have to. Holy fucking shit, dude. Dialogue was always just like that, man. The only difference now is you know which dialogue options to watch. That's such a fucking moronic take, dude. Oh, you had to like them. Like, what do you fucking mean, dude? You get approval up, okay, cool, but you still need to select the specific option that indicates flirtation. Like, the only difference now is that it's telegraphed. How is it bad that it's telegraphed? Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, you're just like cutting away the illusion and just like showing it. Now you can say like, but I need that illusion. I need that illusion. Like, okay, sure, man. But like you're making it seem like more than it is. You still pick the romance option button.
Say the right thing at the right time. Now it's still just click the
The
heart.
right thing in the right time, fucking moron. No, you don't. What in any fucking RPG has done that? Okay, like right time. Like, there is no right time. You just get to a specific part of the dialogue branch and then say like, hey sexy, you have a huge ass. And it's like, oh cool, that's the romance option. But now it's just like, but now that's telegraphed. Again, this guy made a big fuss about saying, where's that woman? Why is that woman who did nothing wrong being spotlighted in Tevinter? Like, why was she doing that? She did nothing wrong, okay? I don't understand nuance. Bioware, why didn't you tell me that Tevinter was an authoritarian state? I don't know. I'm confused. And now he's like complaining that this is like dumb. Oh, okay.
Button, and then you'll fuck in 10 hours. It's thoughtless and effortless. Veilguard also robs.
That happened in every fucking Bioware game. The difference is Veilguard does it better. Why? Because the characters still have quests after romances. Pretty cool.
Dialogue and choices of all their mystery by telling you what each choice is going to result in. Oh, dude.
Okay. How is that bad? Like, my man, you do realize when you go back and do the other choices in the other games, you'll just be like, oh, okay, so that's it. The mystery's gone then. Like, who gives a shit about the mystery? Like, hinging your story, hinging your choices on the mystery of it is such a dumb thing because it can be used for, like, a lot of, like, nefarious ends, right? Because, like, oh, the player doesn't know that both outcomes go to the same path, but just because the first few seconds seems like it's diverging, they're like, whoa, different path, you know? No, Veilguard doing this thing is fine. Like, you're just complaining to complain. I'm sorry that you made hating Veilguard your personality, man.
Do more than demand. Beat down the entire room to get the... Why do you tell me what's going to happen?
Actman, you can't do this, okay? You can't complain about why was that woman being, like, shaken down or was being arrested and say you have an issue with this. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man.
It's so less exciting. It's like they're spoiling their own story. Let me figure that out.
I think if a game hinges on a mystery, it's kind of a bit weird. Any story, for that matter. Sometimes the mystery is pretty cool and whatnot to figure out. But what's cool about mysteries and whatnot is having the clues to go to somewhere, right? And understanding where it's going to go to, right? A lot of, like, mysteries don't really work for me because I can normally understand, like, what's going to happen, right? Or what's figuring out. Same with, like, a lot of the lore reveals with Veilguard, right? So a lot of the lore reveals for Veilguard weren't really that surprising to me because I already thought about it. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's confirmed then. That's it. Okay, cool. Like, one of the theories was archdemons were basically like the elven gods, right? I mean, it all like related to the elves, and like we found it out, it's related to the elves. Okay, cool. Fantastic. We found that out. That wasn't really a surprise to me because like that was kind of like one of the few obvious theories for it. And that's why I don't really think that like you should hinge on it. If you're saying like, oh, I want to see like these different outcomes reload, it's like, okay, yeah, but seeing those things, seeing the progression, seeing those outcomes feels meaningful. Especially because like how other characters will react to that. Again, saving Treviso or Minrathos. If you save Treviso and leave Minrathos die, you get a different sort of quest. You understand that the city's like in dire states now, but it's still meaningful because now you get different side quests, different people reacting to it like that. It's good. Somehow this is bad though. I have no idea.
I still don't know why the silent protagonist was abandoned, why the dialogue choices...
Okay. I wonder what Ackman's opinion on Exodus having a voice protagonist is. I wonder. Why do some RPGs... also, funny that, why does he have... What does he think about, like, Geralt? He's an RPG protagonist, isn't he? Why do RPGs oftentimes do voice protagonists? Because it adds drama, right? You can't really do drama for a voiceless character because you know what's going to happen? They're going to be in a cutscene. They're going to make a big speech and like... And it's going to be an instant reaction for most people. And it's just going to look very awkward and weird. You can't really have those... You can't have drama for silent protagonists because the purpose of them is not to have any drama that the player doesn't instill. So they have to be blank slate protagonists, right? The drama doesn't come from any like character based or like stuff like that. It comes from the player, right? Like that's why these games do this, you know. But no, Actman doesn't really think that much, you know. It's a bit too hard for him.
Don't always reflect what my character says. This dialogue wheel worked in Mass Effect, and it made that game unique. That's where it should have stayed. This is more of a...
Oh yeah, and this is also a funny thing. It made it unique. Like, moron. I'm sorry, man. You do realize by that logic, if we go by everything like saying unique, we're gonna have to just basically end humanity, because we're gonna do everything at some point, and then what do we do then? We just give up? No. I view art and how good art is how well it executes the ideas it wants to do. It's accomplished. Trying to go and make something innovative never really works. Innovation does not happen by force. Innovation happens either by accident or by stumbling upon it. It never happens by choice. So it's weird to say that.
A pet peeve of mine, but it shatters my immersion in an RPG constantly when at every turn my character speaks, and it's not me reading the words in my own head with my own voice, it's just...
You do realize there's an intended way to speak. In Origins, when you said fuck you, there's only one way to say that, right? Like, this is a weird complaint to say, because like, oh yeah, but like, I want to say it in my voice, and if I say it nice, then I mean it nice. The character just misunderstood me, like, okay, no. There's an intended meaning to how a lot of dialogue is, you know, supposed to be reacted to. To say it like that is just like, okay, sure, and doesn't really offer any meaning, you know? Again, no drama for, like, voiceless protagonists as well. So again...
just some guy named Rook.
Rook, like chess piece.
One of the strongest pieces on the board, but he tends to think in straight lines.
Rook, like the chess piece?
Yeah? You know what's very funny to me as well? A lot of people are like, man, Dragon Age has this weird humor. And it's just like, oh, and if you look at Origins, it's been there since the beginning. David Gator wrote Alistair because he watched Buffy. He watched Buffy and saw Xander and was like, oh man, this is a cool character. I'm gonna write that. You know who made Buffy? Joss Whedon. Wow, it seems like Bioware has always had this dialogue. If you don't like this dialogue, why are you playing a Bioware game? If you don't like the dialogue, why are you playing a Bioware game? This game isn't for you then, you moron. I'm sorry that Origins tricked you with its cutscene and its cinematic trailers. Like, I'm sorry that it tricked you. I'm sorry that you were fucking fooled into it, you moron. I'm sorry, man. But this is just not the game for you then.
Get it? I also don't like how they show approval and disapproval ratings during the conversation.
Man, what does he think of Baldur's Gate doing that? Oh boy, he must hate Baldur's Gate for doing that. Fuck. Damn. Woo. I hated that they show the approval during a conversation. That's bad. Sure, man.
Show that shit after. Influencer approval is supposed to take...
Oh boy. Ooh, show that after? What does that mean? This is such a dumb complaint. Oh my gosh.
place after a conversation, because if it pops up during a conversation, it's distracting and immersion breaking. There needs to be a clear
Okay. Man, this is a lot of bad. This is like so much bad. So moronic. I'm sorry, man. Baldur's Gate 3 must be a terrible game then, because like it does that as well. Like, sure, man. Sure. Baldur's Gate also shows approval during conversation and all that. Like, it's immersion breaking either way, you moron. Like, if it happens after or during, it's immersion breaking. I don't know. Let me get to the only point I think that might be like useful enough to say. Him saying stuff like, Did you know that it's immersion breaking if your character is like, you know, voiced? That's not it, dude. Whichever your preference is, it's fine. But a voiced protagonist in an RPG is not immersion breaking. He will most likely never say that Commander Shepard is immersion breaking, right? Because he speaks. No Geralt of Rivia. This is literally just him saying like Veilguard's bad because Veilguard's bad. Why is Veilguard bad? Because I said it's bad. There's literally, again, he made his entire personality just hating Veilguard for some reason. Which, sure, buddy, if you want to do that with your life, then sure. But it's a bad look, you know.
Distinction between the game and the dialogue and story, and there isn't. So to recap, Veilguard comes across like it's trying to be
He
a
didn't even go with the basic gist of like, why can't I see the full line of text? He didn't even do that.
hero shooter or a Marvel movie.
Not replaying.
The art style and tone
Ah, yes. Remember when David Gator watched Buffy, a series made by Joss Whedon, and he took inspiration from that? I remember. Do you remember when Alistair said, "Ever like a lamppost in winter"? Do you remember when Zeron talked about bosoms? Do you remember Ogren's existence? I remember.
of the series has been butchered to be as PG as possible. Bioware failed to
Very PG.
connect me with this universe by throwing me into the heat of things without any
Cold openings about it.
build up or context. They've simplified and removed pretty much all RPG
Sure, man.
mechanics. I don't like any of the companions I met so far.
Okay. I can't believe you want Adolf Hitler as your party member. That's fine.
My ability to play a role in this game has been completely severed. Even though I didn't play
Oh yeah, I remember as Commander Shepard when I could kill it. Whoa, no, wait, no. I remember when I played as Geralt Rivia and I could kill Ciri. Oh no, wait, no.
Veilguard much, I don't need to. The game failed to immerse me from the start, and I never felt like I could
My man, if you want to make a video about how Veilguard destroyed the franchise, then maybe playing the game for more than 3 hours is a bit good. Because it could give you an indication, more depth and understanding, and better points to demonstrate why you feel the way you feel. You playing 3 hours only tells me that you are a moron. You're a person who just wants to get on the rage bait. And that's it. You're just like those kind of people. And both are bad, dude.
print myself on a protagonist. That's why I play RPGs, to play a role. Now I want to briefly touch on
I remember when I could kill Ciri in... Oh, no, wait. I remember when I could kill... Oh, wait, no. I can't do that in Mass Effect.
tackling social issues in your fantasy RPG universe. Dragon Age has never shied away from showing race relations, racism, or including characters with mental disabilities. You meet an autistic savant dwarf who's really good with enchantment, but the game doesn't tell you he's autistic. In Veilguard, one of your companions, Tosh,
Is it bad that we don't have like a fantasy-sized version, or just like we have the term that we use in modern like language? And it's not bad. I mean, you can say it takes away some of the immersion stuff, but like there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's a minor point. You know? To make it like, oh wow, you have non-binary, like, because here's the thing, right? Your issue then is that Tosh says non-binary and transgender. That's the issue. Not that Tosh is being a transgender, but like, I don't know, man. I feel like, let's see what he says.
just straight up says, so I'm non-binary.
So I'm non-binary.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
One of the most essential parts of storytelling or driving home a message is that you give the audience some agency to figure out what that message is.
Woo! Fantastic. Okay. So you have to give the audience an understanding. Actman, you moron, you do realize you were like, why was this woman being harassed by the police? Why are they doing that? Like, Actman, come on, you don't have grounds on to be this kind of like, you have to give the audience space when you literally couldn't comprehend the fact that Tevinter was an authoritarian state. I'm sorry, man. Maybe Bioware is, you know, trying to appeal to you, okay? And you're like, but I'm not a baby. Even though I understand perfectly that I'm not. Man, like, and additionally, like, what is he gonna say about this? Like, you need time for the audience to understand. Tosh was speaking as a character normally does to their parent, about how they feel. What was Tosh supposed to say? I'm different. I mean different. I just feel different. And then the audience is supposed to like, yeah. Instead of like which is out of character. Like no one speaks like that. No one just says like, I'm different. How are you different? I'm just different. Like, no, man. Like,
on their own, to piece the puzzle together, to read between the lines of that which is unsaid. The more explicit and
what? How was that scene? Tosh is confronting their mother about their identity. They have to be a bit fucking obvious about it because they're communicating with them. How do you think these... Great. Fantastic. And this implies that, like, Veilguard doesn't do this, like, read between the lines. They do that. It's quite prevalent, you know? Solis is a very big example of this, where a lot of his dialogue doesn't really explicitly say what he's thinking. It's a lot of, like, inference, right? You have to infer because Solis is a liar, right? Tosh isn't trying to lie. Tosh isn't trying to obfuscate. Why do you do this?
and direct you make a message, the less an audience is going to be receptive to it because they feel like they're being preached to.
I was fine with transgender people and non-binary people. But then someone said, respect transgender people and non-binary people. And I was like, I'm a fascist now. I guess I'm a fascist now. I guess I'm gonna commit some genocide. What? Now you can say that like they could have handled it better, and like sure that's a bit of a criticism. But now you're like, it's not gonna make them receptive to those ideas. The idea of being, you should probably respect people's gender identity. Like, okay.
Why are you here?
I beg your pardon?
Women are artisans or merchants or farmers, but you don't seem particularly earthy. They have no place in war.
I can't even begin to tell you what's wrong with that idea. Do the Qunari have no female mages?
Why'd you use this example, you moron? Why'd you use this example? This is literally just like, obviously like, Win saying like, I can't tell you how wrong that idea that like, you can't have female mages, okay? Sten, what are you talking? Like, it's... Actman, you could have done...
No female warriors?
Of course not. Why would our women wish to be men?
See how dialogue is more engaging when characters disagree in debate? You do realize the point that you're making here is that social issues and how they're portrayed, Ryan. This is like near how is being portrayed with Tosh. You moron. Oh my gosh. And not only that, but we do get insights and beliefs in people. As I say with Tosh earlier in this video. Tosh is about identity and seeing which parts of our culture that she's going to take. Part of the Qun, part of the Ravani, and see how it resembles her. And you can tell her that, hey, you know, I'm going to point out the contradictions into your belief because the Qun and the Ravani culture are, like, incompatible. Or you can say that, like, it is good that you try to have, like, a bit of a multicultural kind of route, you know? But now, apparently nuance is too big for Actman, okay? He likes black and white stuff.
Do you believe I wish to be a man?
You cannot be a man. That will lead you only to frustration.
You need subtlety and nuance, and having a character start doing push-ups.
Oh, this bingo card would be so fucking full. It would just literally be a black image, okay? Because of how much you have to mark everything off. Man, okay, sure, man. I don't know, man. Was the push-off scene a bit weird? Not sure. Does it make it a terrible game? No. Eh. It's such a weird thing to complain about, okay? Such a weird thing to complain about.
Push-ups because they misgendered someone is not subtle or nuanced. It's like you can feel the self.
I like it when the brash character Tosh, this is abrasive character Tosh, asks people to do things in a brash and abrasive manner. I guarantee you, if Tosh was a man, had the deepest voice you could possibly have, no one would give a shit. Okay? People would be like, beast, beast, beast. Here's the thing. Tosh says to her mom, to their mom, because like, hey, I used to do this kind of thing, and like I'm gonna say in a deep voice, right? I used to piss on the bed. Do you want me to start that again? I guarantee you, people who would hear that line in a very deep voice would be like, oh, based, 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 because they just don't like, you know, either they have a weird unexamined like bias against like, you know, women, right, and just can't really think that they can say those jokes, you know. or they're, you know, just like, oh, I hate this character because I've been told to hate this character.
Self-righteous wrath the writers fantasize about inflicting on people who commit such a heinous.
What? I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that you're projecting your own, like, feelings onto this, okay? But that's not what's happening here, okay?
Crime, such as misgendering someone. Having non-binary characters isn't a problem in and of itself. It's how you write them. How do you integrate?
Having diverse characters isn't a problem. It's how you go about them. I remember when Actman, I think, said something similar about, like, black characters. It's not bad that there's a black character in the new Battlefield game. It's not a bad thing about having a new character in a new female character in the Battlefield game. It just has to be well done. And it's like, no, my man, you wouldn't have done this with any, like, white dude. Okay, there's no one out here saying, like, okay, you can have white men in your, you know, media, but they have to be well done. Like, I'm sorry, man. You have to understand that, like, there's nothing wrong with Tosh being a non-binary person. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue is just the writing. If you don't like the writing, just talk about the writing. It has nothing to do with a social issue, right? Like, there's good ways to portray a social issue and bad ways to portray a social issue. But the line of thinking of you have to write them well is literally just like back in the ye olden days when a lot of people are saying, like, there's nothing wrong with a black character in media. They just have to be well written. Which means that if they're poorly written, you should just not include them. I'm sorry, that's just, like, so dumb, dude.
Integrate them into the world? Do you make that their defining personality trait? When you beat people...
That isn't Tosh's defining personality trait. Tosh's entire point, as I said in this video, is about identity. Identity of who they are in gender self and identity in a cultural sense. You, and later in the storyline for Tosh, gets asked, hey, you should, you know, be more Qunari or you should be more Veni, because Tosh is struggling between those two cultural points. She cares about being a Qun because she likes some of the ideas that it has and whatnot, but she also doesn't like a lot of the less than favorable aspects of it. And she likes her Veni culture because, you know, there's a lot of freedom, a lot of, like, individuality to it. So you have at a crossroads and have to ask Tosh to choose between those. It's an identity thing. It's Tosh is struggling with identity. And that is pretty interesting, you know? But a lot of people who are saying, like, Tosh is just about being non-binary have barely played the game and only looked on the clips on Twitter. You know?
People over the head, like, hey, don't misgender others. That's what we're trying to say.
What? Oh, okay. I'm sorry that you have have an issue with the message of don't misgender people. Like, okay. Sure.
Say, what can we say about it? So yeah, Dragon Age the Veilguard is worse than I expected it to be. It is such a far cry from what Dragon Age should be, what it used to be, and what Bioware should go back to doing. I have no fucking idea what they think they're doing with Dragon Age. I just don't know what this is. At least Paper Mario Sticker Star still kind of looked like Paper Mario. You know what I mean? Dragon Age doesn't even look like itself. Some people may prefer the style over the older games, and like I said, if you have been enjoying Veilguard, don't let me or anybody else stop you. You like.
But you do have to realize that a lot of this is actually garbage. Like, okay, sure, like, man.
What you like, you don't gotta prove anything to anyone. I'm sure if I played Veilguard more, I'd only have more negative.
If I played more than 3 hours. Okay, sure, man.
Things to say about it, and I'm not gonna stick it out. The game failed at every opportunity to interest, excite, or entertain and immerse me.
Yeah. I get you, Wi-Fi. I also don't want to continue watching. Man, this is a long video that I've gone 2 hours. Wow, man. I had a lot to say. A lot to say. Okay. So while my internet recovers from this idiocy, is Dragon Age Veilguard a Dragon Age game? Yes, it is. There's no way it can't be a Dragon Age game. The more you play it, the more self-evident it is a Dragon Age game. It needs its lore to be a Dragon Age game, to have its reveals, like, have as much impact as it does, right? It has the writing, it has the dialogue, it has the companions, it has everything, right? Veilguard's weakest part is its early game, and it takes about, like, 15 to 20 hours to get out of that, and that is a bad thing in and of itself. It is not good that a game has to get better after 20 hours, right? That's not a good thing. But it does get better. And that's, I think, is something that a lot of people are not criticizing, because they would have to then say Veilguard actually is a good game in some ways. They want to hate Veilguard all the way down. All the way down. They won't give any caveats. The only caveats they'll give are, like, it looks pretty from the like level art kind of perspective. But even then, it's like sometimes with a backhanded comment, right? Backhanded compliment. Again, Veilguard is a Dragon Age game. Actman didn't really say much of anything other than just like point and like laugh and whatnot. He didn't say like how the companions don't really have this dialogue, and he says like, "Oh yeah, you're beating my head with social issues," and like this is so overt and not subtle. Even though the example he uses for Origins is when saying, "Yeah, you saying female mages can't exist is very wrong." Like she literally said, "It's very wrong." You can't interpret her saying anything else other than "it's very wrong," and like saying like, "Wow, I can't believe I can't misgender Tosh." I'm like, okay, sure, man. And other stuff like I can't believe I can't be Adolf Hitler. Okay, if you want to play RPGs where you can be Adolf Hitler, then sure, fine, go ahead, man. Nothing wrong with that. But like Bioware has never been a studio where you can be Adolf Hitler. You can't kill every single child you come across in Origins. You can't do that because Bioware didn't want you to do that. They wanted you again to be a co-author in the story, not to be the author, but to be a co-author. You two will work alongside each other, make the game. Same with like voice protagonist, which is a very dumb thing to say, which is like this guy would not say this to about Geralt of Rivia or like V from Cyberpunk or like Commander Shepard. Like he wouldn't say that because again, he would be like, "Oh, they're different. How they're different? Because they are." Okay. You know, this video is literally just like making Dragon Age Veilguard, hating it my personality. Like, okay. Veilguard did not destroy the franchise. Now, could there have been ways for, Veilguard to be more like Dragon Age in the prior games? Yeah, sure. Most definitely. We could have had a lot more conversation opportunities, direct conversations. We could have had a lot more, like, overtly dark things, like slavery and stuff. We could have had a more consistent art style. We could have had a more consistent gameplay style. I agree with all of those. But this video does not make those points. And when they do make those points, it's within a veer of lack of understanding of Dragon Age and just a general lack of ability to give any credit, Let's see what it says.
So, I'm not giving it any more of my time. I have no idea what the future holds for Bioware. I don't think it's looking all that good. I doubt this game is going to win any awards at the Game Awards. I would be stunned if that happened. It's not
Well, it got snubbed, but hey.
only sad to see how far Dragon Age has fallen, but Bioware themselves. I guess this just means we need to protect Larian at all costs, because they are the new Bioware. But hopefully
I love it when people have thoughts, and those thoughts make no sense in reality. I don't know how people are saying, like, Larian is the new Bioware, when in reality they fucking aren't. I'm sorry, man. You're talking about, I want to know about the world. You don't know anything about, like, the world. Tell me anywhere in Baldur's Gate 3 where it gives you a history of a character in conversation talking to you about that. Tell me about Gale's mom. What is Gale's mom's name, by the way? Please tell me. Tell me all this. And if you're gonna say like, oh, but they added in a patch, my man, base game. I'm sorry, dude. But if Larian made the game better afterwards, that's fine and whatnot. But that doesn't address the fundamental issues. If we learn about things like Gale's mom's name and stuff like that, that's cool. But we never get that in the base game. We never get that. We never get other things like the Sword Coast, the history of that. We never get to ask companions about that. We don't even understand like most of the gods, right? Like we understand like a surface level like understanding where you can have like a third grader like say like, so who is Shar? Shar is an evil person. They have shadowy magic. They do bad things and make people forget stuff. Like, okay, sure, I guess that's fine. And additionally, like other things like the structure of it, and legitimately, I'm sorry, but the protagonist for Dragon Age, for Mass Effect, for all the Bio games, is not the same as Tav from Baldur's Gate 3. It's just not. It's just not. Bioware has never let you, besides Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, to kill everyone. Even, and the fact that they, with their spiritual successor Origins, said like, you know what we feel we want to do? We don't want to allow the player to just kill whoever, right? Like, yeah, man. It's also very funny because like one of the things this guy didn't even like mention, which I find very funny, is him saying like, what about the import choices? I don't know why he didn't do that, because I feel like that's such an easy layup for him to say. But like, I don't know. I guess my personal theory is more just like, he doesn't really understand Dragon Age, right? His understanding of Dragon Age seems very surface level,
Hopefully you've enjoyed this educational journey on how to destroy a franchise. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And hey, if you
No, I didn't act, man. I actually didn't. Solar saved me. Fuck. Save me. Save me. Save me. Oh, gosh. Holy shit. Bioware, why can we romance this fucking hottie? Holy shit, Bioware. Bioware, save me. Save me from this. Oh. Puzzles. David Gator saying, like, no one fucking gave a shit. Dwarves were 5%. And is why we look at this like smoke show. Let's wrap up. This was a video I wanted to talk about, just like sort of get it, just to give my thoughts on so much of the discourse for Veilguard. There are a lot of issues with Veilguard. You can give a lot of issues for Veilguard, but so much of it is just like so mired in hatred and making it their personality to hate Veilguard, which just to me just isn't really interesting. It isn't really that fun, engaging, and doesn't really tell me much other than you just don't like the game. If you don't like Veilguard, and if you played like the first 3 hours and like this is not my thing, that's fine, man. But if you want to make something more about it, then you're gonna have to at least engage with the game proper, right? Veilguard is a good game. Is it the best game? No. It is a good game though. When it counts a lot. It has wonderful moments. The choice between Treviso and Renathos, Valara's like personal questline is very interesting and engaging. You have like again like Tosh's one, which is about like identity, is really cool and telling. You have like the end of Act 1 where you have to siege Weissart, and it's just like so amazing. There's so many great moments in this game, and I just feel sad that so much of the discourse around Veilguard is just this moronic, you know, this surface level. Not just surface level, this lack of critical thinking, okay? I can't imagine how anyone who just thinks for a second of, wait, how could I be wrong, not see how they're wrong, because they don't ask themselves that question. There's no like, there's no, what's the word? There's no like Socratic method happen in their head where they ask themselves a question, why, and then try to answer that question, you know? It's just so bad. But yeah, if you enjoyed me basically like hating myself, you know, for watching this video, but perhaps, you know, leave a like, you know, and if you know, like this a lot, maybe even subscribe. Comment down below, what do you think about this? What do you think about the discourse of Veilguard, and how idiotic is it that so much of this is it? You know, Veilguard has issues. It does. I don't understand why people have to hate it more than what it actually is. Just point out the issues it does have. You don't have to make up issues. So yeah, I hope you enjoy your day.